Hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation of the SMZ3 Randomizer Tournament. We've got a really good one for you today. We've got number 1 seed Solski versus number 4 seed Sloaters. So should be a really good match. I am Appy Duck, aka Duck McGuck. Don't worry about it. And I'm joined today by Ace Zero. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Duck.
So yeah, this should be a really good one. You may think this is like, oh, this is a 1 versus 4. You know, Solski's gonna roll to this. Sloaters is one of the best SM players in this tournament. You know, we got a lot of really good SM players. We have Aussie, we have Asder, but we also got Sloaters and Cutie, and they're no disrespect to anyone else, but they're just incredibly amazing SM players. So Sloaters is going to be hoping for a heavy SM seed. It's a little unlikely to happen just because there's 100 items over there versus 216 in A Link to the Past. So there tends to be a fair bit you have to do in A Link to the Past. But if Sloaters can get into SM and get a lot of stuff, he's going to have a significant advantage here. And then he's gonna have to force his way through A Link to the Past. Not quite as skilled in A Link to the Past as he is in SM. But Solski, on the other hand, I think most people are aware of Solski. He's definitely known for his randomizer. Knows how these things are laid out. Knows the logic. So I expect a lot of creative routing for him. He's pretty skilled in both games. He's really just solid all around, solid randomizer player. So it should be interesting to see here. But I'm definitely, I always enjoy watching Sloaters play SM. It's really a treat.
Yeah, I agree. This should be a really good match, and I'm excited to see if we get any sync, especially like later on in the match, if both players seem to be at Lower Norfair at the same time. Just how they approach things differently with that just extreme top level skill that Sloaters has.
Yeah, that's Sloaters not turn on Moonfall. It's weird. I'm almost positive Sloaters plays with Moonfall, so I'm not sure why he went down there like that. But yeah, we can see here, people have different opinions on opening retro. Again, this is largely just Sloaters definitely wants to do as much SM as possible. So he's going to open up with this, hopefully going to snag something here. This is also something else you're going to see Sloaters do. He's going to grab every single item that's going to help him in A Link to the Past, like it is the only life raft after a ship disaster out at sea. So those air upgrade capacities is definitely going to get those. Basically, if it's for A Link to the Past, he is going to grab it.
Yeah, meanwhile, we see Solski doing the traditional start for Link to the Past, usually checking the Hylia Island, going to Uncle, checking the first tree pole. That's the tier 3 since he didn't get hit. Unfortunately, hasn't gotten a lot of rupees or bombs. That's what he's hoping for to start. Be able to go to Kakariko and clear efficiently and get something to send him in any particular direction early.
Yeah, interesting. Sloaters is deciding to keep this energy tank. Not something he's. The first one is kind of important. I know, like, he does the PRKD route, so he's. This would be like the health he would have going into Wreck Ship if he decides to do an early Wreck Ship play. So he may be thinking that maybe if he gets his Morph Ball early, he wants at least the one energy tank. Just doing it on just 99 health, even for someone like Sloaters, is a bit tricky. You do want to kind of take some damage against Phantoon. So that may be why he's keeping that first one, because you don't know when the second one's going to come. So bird in hand type of thing. Using the Zero Suit Samus, I approve of that.
Yeah, definitely a good sprite choice. We see Solski getting a nice payout from the bush crabs. That's really handy here, going into Kakariko with enough money to be able to afford Bottle Vendor, and should be able to buy bombs as well without too much trouble, and route everything in, not leaving anything behind, because that can really come back to burn you if you get a lot of SM items or ammo early on and just don't have money in bombs. It can be kind of a pain.
Yeah, bombs and money. That's really what you want to be finding early on. Obviously items too, but yeah, make sure you don't isolate any of these checks. Is pretty high priority. I don't know about you, but in this, because these are so long, you're usually not seeing like finishes within like a minute of each other. Like that's a really close finish on this randomizer. Like I don't mind doing the like 30, like taking the extra time to do stuff early. Because missing something like Sphere Zero can be a really big swing. So stuff like a Gina, I usually always just go ahead and do a Gina early, because like I don't think I've ever lost by 30 seconds. It doesn't really happen all that often. Usually there's a pretty big decision that gets made that tends to swing it a little bit. So I think playing conservative here versus a traditional Link to the Past randomizer by itself makes more sense.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I certainly am not the best at routing myself, but I think I do okay in the early game, and then something else goes wrong. But being thorough is very helpful early, especially because there's so many more items than in a standard Link to the Past randomizer, which is what I'm used to, that can help you. Because even just an extra pack of supers or power bomb or an E-tank early on can be helpful, even if it's not necessary.
Yeah, one of the big things you're looking on early is you definitely want like a missile pack, a super pack, but you're really looking for several power bomb packs. If you just go into SM like just naked with just morph ball, 15 is kind of the magic number for power bombs that you want to be able to get through the Brinstar loop with fairly cleanly without having to do like a lot of extra farming. So that's kind of the number you're looking at. You can do just 5. Like if you have 5, you can go like ship to Kraid, and you can always do that with just 5, clearing everything out. So definitely, you definitely want to be getting those. Even if you find Morph Ball early, you might be thinking like, oh, I got Morph Ball, time to go to SM. You can't, because you still need some ammo. Missiles, supers, power bombs. So you're really looking for those 3 things to start off with. I think they both have missiles and supers so far. I haven't seen any PBs, but those are always really important early.
Yeah, I didn't notice any PBs yet. Solski obviously frustrated at getting that X-ray scope early, making his item selection more difficult, just muddying up.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm assuming that's the only reason he hates it, but he clearly
we'll start the accidentally used X-ray count right now.
Yeah, so far not a lot of other progression though. The sword is really nice to have. That Solski's about to pick up here in Blind's Hut. That Sloaters has already grabbed. Ether might be required, could be helpful, but
not a
lot of direction.
For Sloaters, basically, if you're running for Sloaters, basically what you want is this to be the comfiest Link to the Past seed possible. If we start seeing some like low percent fights and stuff like that, Sloaters may have a little bit of good difficulty with it. So if you're a Sloaters fan, root for as many swords, root for red mail, root for all that stuff, and then conversely, root for like as little as possible in SM. Solski is a very good SM player, but it's going to be a little. The lower SM is, the more it's going to swing in Sloaters' favor. Sloaters plays RBO, low percent ice, all that kind of stuff. So he'll be pretty much comfortable no matter what happens in SM. Is that a hammer on library? It was really quick.
Yeah, that was a hammer. So I guess these guys are going to be hoping for boots soon. Some of you in chat may be hoping for boots late to figure out how long it's going to take to get that hammer, but that's definitely required.
Yeah, with hammer, hammer unlocks so much. Boots probably aren't going to be too buried. Although stuff you'd be surprised. Stuff can get pretty buried in here. Or not even just buried, it's just like you can find Morph Ball, you go to SM, and if that's not where your Link to the Past progression is, you're just going to be hanging out there for a while before you actually come back.
Right, and with the ability to cross back and forth, if they get Dark World access somehow without that hammer, that could further increase how late the boots could be in this progression chain.
Yeah, Solski, going to Sasha's hat. I know Solski is a big fan of Sasha coming here early. It's 3 items. Kind of the debate. It's 3 items. It's obviously a valuable location. He doesn't get the lamp out of it and some blue mail. The debate is you can do Sasha early for the 3 items, but it also combos in really nice with Eastern, which is something you want to avoid. So some players like putting it off because it feels like they prices them into the Eastern check. It looks like Solski will be doing that here as well.
Yeah, the Eastern dip's a little bit more encouraging early when it's a pendant. If you can't complete it, having to leave just a pendant isn't a big deal usually, but it turns out, unfortunately, it's one of the red crystals. So it's extra value to come back later. Solski's obviously going to be hoping for something in the front.
Yeah, Solski may be deciding to play conservative here. Overall, he's the better SMZ3R player. So like the way Sloaters wins this is, a loaded SM seed, and like maybe like a check like this paying off for Sloaters if Sloaters was able to do it. So I think this is largely a defend play against that kind of stuff. Just clearing out everything in Sphere 0 is a good way to protect yourself against a potential upset here. But yeah, I mean, if you're Solski, you're not happy getting Sloaters as your number 4. Definitely one of the scarier players to get in the 4 spot.
Yeah, of course. And in addition to this being a good defensive play, like you mentioned, Duck, having the lamp already does push a bigger chance of finding progression here in Eastern Palace, since that unlocks one more check that wouldn't be otherwise available in the vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, it looked like Solski did have a little hesitation before coming up here, so it may have been the lamp swinging his decision. Meanwhile, we have the gloves, so that does mean Death Mountain is in logic. And also one check in SM, the high jump E-Tank will be in logic. Without Morph Ball, we can't get to the other 2 items. So it's a little annoying to check before the Morph Ball. But, I've definitely seen Morph Ball there before. I've seen my only Power Bombs there before. So if it kind of comes in logic early, generally when you go up to Death Mountain, you're just going to go ahead and check it off.
Yeah, it also might put in the back of escape in logic. Depending on where the small key is, you might need the glove to get there logically without stealing the key from the front. So if nothing else, it'll make those checks quicker, so that's nice to have as well.
Yeah, with lamp and glove, the whole thing is definitely in logic now. Oh, well, there's our first Power Bombs. It's good for Sloaters. The book is annoying early, and a Master Sword again, good for Sloaters. Like I said before, if you're rooting for Sloaters, you want him to have gold sword and swords and all the good stuff real early.
Ooh, Sloaters gonna have to be careful. These crabs do 2 hearts of damage. He just got hit once. You can't take another hit from a crab on the way over to this Ice Rod Cave check. And it's a long walk, so that could be punishing with a death.
Okay, so Solski getting paid off with Quake will be interesting to see if that is required. May very well even. Ooh, jeez. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, Quake may be required, but maybe as long as if the bow is still before that, is not blocked by Quake, Sloaters will probably be getting that at some point.
Yeah, I just want to mention too, Sloaters just used the bomb explosion. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but bomb explosion to knock himself into the crab, so he didn't get the 2 hearts of damage, just took 1.
Yeah, he used the Ivory. I mean, the thing is, like watching like Sloaters or the other guy is really similar to Sloaters, which is an excellent SM player and okay at A Link to the Past is Cutie. And they're such just like good at video games type of thing, like stuff like that, which is like pure reaction type of stuff. Like they just have that innate ability. So just seeing some hot dodges like that, just Sloaters, I guess, showing off his talents there, I guess. But so far, this seed is, if you're gonna have a Sloaters upset, this is kind of how you would design the beginning. He's got Master Sword, he's got a invulnerability item already, got Morph Ball bombs, looking not a lot of E-Tanks, not a lot of SM items. Oh, Sloaters doing the dark room. I wasn't actually 100% sure what Sloaters' comfort level with the dark rooms was. Well, I guess okay, not that high. I appreciate the attempt though.
Yeah, there's a good chance that might just be understanding that it might not be a required item in that Dark Cross, and that even if he's comfortable doing it, it might still be slower than just skipping that check. That's definitely an option, even if you're 100% sure you can make it.
Yeah, especially coming from the back like that, getting like the rooms you have to do in the dark. The hardest room like that you have to do in the light versus the hardest room you have to do in the dark is not necessarily the same thing. So like maybe I guess like the pod basement rooms are pretty difficult even in the light, but in the dark they're I guess even harder. Like turns out the key rat room is one of the harder dark rooms because you have to find this enemy that's got pure RNG movement in it. So it's pretty tricky to do. It's one of the harder ones to do in the dark, I would say. But in the light, it's the first dungeon. It's completely brain dead to do. So it makes sense to maybe dip out right there, something he's not 100% comfortable on.
Absolutely. So we've got Sloaters checking Agina here, and looks like he's probably going to be taking his book and going into desert, seeing if he can find anything there. That's a solid play. Should be able to get whatever's on the ledge, which he hasn't scouted yet. And hopefully 1 or 2 items if we're not boots locked out of desert.
Yeah, if he was going to do desert and Agina, he probably should have done desert first and then popped out to Agina. Probably one of those minor routing things Sloaters not necessarily thinking about here, just kind of doing it in order. Yeah, single arrow up there. But pre-Dark World access, you really want to be in a full clear mentality. So you have access to desert. You can't clear it. Solski does have. Well, actually, it might be able to be cleared. Solski does have the fire source. As long as we're not boots locked, this is clearable by logic. So we'll see if that's true real soon. But if it's not, if it is a key, or if it's not a key on a torch, it's an advantage to Solski because he'll be coming here with his fire source. Well, okay, we're not 100%, so it really depends on what's in this big chest then.
Looks like Solski gets the second pack of power bombs as well, which is going to be nice to have if that morph comes up soon. That I imagine Sloaters may not do the fake flippers to do that, since he didn't do it out of Ice Rod Cave. That's probably his best opportunity to do so.
Yeah. So big key in that chest is probably the worst outcome for Sloaters, unless... Yeah. So it very well may be something important is on Landmo, and Sloaters going to have to come back. So that's going to be a pretty big time loss for Sloaters if something important is there, like more for Moon Pearl or boots, which would give you hammer, which is part of the Dark World chain.
Of course, it's certainly out of logic. So even if Solski goes there right away and is able to complete the dungeon, the logic requires you to have the boots, because you could basically take and waste a small key and get yourself in the position where you can't beat the dungeon, since you took the small key from the back, used it in the front, and can't get the replacement.
Yeah, I guess that's... Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. So probably, yeah, unlikely. So that's good for Sloaters then.
Yeah, less likely to be progression, at least early progression.
Yeah, well, sort of, except we know where the hammer is, which is likely to have early, so that also kind of hints that it's likely to have boots fairly early. So, yeah, we'll see. Is that red mail for Sloaters already? Or am I just...
That's the blue mail. The blue mail for the Zero Suit Samus are blue to orange to purple and green is the third one. A little counterintuitive, but
I'm an encyclopedia on the sprites.
Yeah, that's the one I use. Is the only reason I know it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I used to use sprites, and then I've just learned too many link queues that it's like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm not going to learn another sprite. I put way too much time in the game. People who can play with different Samus sprites are insane. I don't.
Yeah, I will say there's some tricks that are a lot harder, like doing Icebreaker with Zero Suit Samus because her hair doesn't take up the same space as Link's hat. That's the cue I use visually.
Oh, I don't even really have a cue for Icebreaker. I can kind of like feel when it's one frame. So, well, that, and I do the left to right really quick, and I just kind of see if I get it or not. If I don't slip on the wall, I know I'm good.
Fair enough. All right, well, looks like we're seeing some basically backtracking, or the two runners going over what the other has already done in these two dungeons. So Sloaters is going to get to the Quake Medallion that we don't know if it's useful. Meanwhile, Solski is going to get the 50 rupees here and probably go and beat Landmolus.
Yeah, so yeah, Sloaters got the lamp, so yeah, he should definitely go all the way to Quake. So you're looking at the tracker. There's a couple things not up there. Sacrifices had to be made. There's so many items we needed in this game. Lamp is pretty important, but so it's skippable, and you have fire rod, so it can be a little confusing, especially early on when it's our only fire source. But they both do have it. So they have fire source. All the dark rooms are open. If you are used to, speaking of, if you are used to just the vanilla A Link to the Past randomizer, shout outs to 5 Skeletons, by the way. But yeah, if you this was actually built off of the old V29 logic. That's why we're still seeing capacity upgrades. Dark rooms are not in logic with just the fire rod, and like the pinball room is never anything in Skull Woods. Those are really the main differences. A lot of the V30, V31 stuff was like adding a bunch more modes and options. There's really only 2 options in this. There's just the normal and the hard logic, and then whether or not morph ball is randomized or not. But they're starting to diverge a little bit with we're now on V11, so there's a couple additional changes in V11 on the Link to the, well, really the only difference on the Link to the Past side I think is bottles never start with anything, which is actually, I kind of like that as a change, because like I'm a player who doesn't really go for safeties, and like every once in a while I get in trouble. It's like, oh, I had a bottle to bail me out. It's like, you just gave me blue goo. But now it's a little bit more like calculus to actually doing it. I mean, you'll never get like a free one for like pod camera unlock or anything like that. So that's different. And then the only thing different on really the main difference on the SM side is Ridley is now in logic with just ammo, without charge beam.
So for that Ridley logic, I'm sure that won't come up until quite a while if it does in this race. But is there a certain ammo count that you need to have?
Yeah, I believe it's just looks at your supers and it requires 30. We were actually doing a multi-world when it first came out, when beta was first out, and they made the requirement has a super, and we actually had a really weird seed where it required one of our players to go to Ridley, and he only had like 10 supers, but he had like a bunch of missiles, and fortunately we were able to get through it. But we were like, hey, this is a problem. You need more.
Gotcha, thank you. Looks like Solski took out Land Molas with no problem. That Master Sword spins, doing a pretty substantial amount of damage. Didn't get anything, just the compass on the boss. So that's good for Sloaters, that there's not an item there. Obviously it's a crystal, so Solski's still in good shape, but no progression. So it looks like they'll probably both be ending up going up Death Mountain here pretty soon.
Yeah, so not a huge payoff for Solski being able to do, like, if there was a big bit of progression there, that would be really big for Sloaters. Solski will not have to double dip. Desert is assuming that the other item in there is not, or I guess no, yeah, there's just one. Yeah, assuming the other item is not progression. Otherwise, they'll both have to double dip it, and then kind of the advantage comes out in the wash. Although Sloaters will be more motivated to go back, of course, because he needs to complete it in general. So that actually may be a benefit on Sloater's side if there is something important there.
Absolutely. We see the first progression item for Super Metroid. Sloaters picks up the screw attack from the old man.
Yeah, that is the worst opening SM item. You might be thinking that's a little weird because screw attack's so overpowered. The problem is it opens up less on the left side because you still can't get to the speed items at all. So early supers is completely out. And then it also very annoyingly opens up below Mother Brain. So if you have screw attack to open SM with, you kind of have to do checks on both sides, which is just really, really annoying. There's only the one check over there, especially for Sloaters already doing retro. Can't really comment in with those. So screw attack is our progression. That's just, you just always hate to see it. It's just bad. It's very annoying to do. Oh, that's wow. Bad. Well, it's good for Solski. I'm showing my bias here. Showing my bias against my own teammate.
Yeah, especially with Sloaters already doing the first couple Death Mountain checks. He's going to have to go back to check the east side once he goes through the front of escape to get that hook shot. Yeah,
looks like Sloaters. So, Sloaters, obviously, his strategy here is SM all the time, every time. So, he gets a little bit of SM progression, even though it might be a little slow. He's just going to go ahead and chase it. He's obviously way more efficient over here. We're seeing some really nice movement out of him. But so if this could pay off, this could be the logic. Although that hookshot opens up so much on Death Mountain, that's probably where our answer is. But Sloaters might be getting a little bit lucky here. We'll see.
Yeah, this also could be okay for Sloaters if there ends up being another item in the front of Escape. That could be okay too, since Solski already grabbed the progression out of Dark Cross. He's a little less inclined to go back to front of Escape.
Yeah, how many items are in there? Because they did the back. I think was the back 3 items or was it 2 with the map?
I honestly can't recall. I know they didn't get the. Well, I know they got the small key to go through the back, but I don't know if they got the map or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think maybe. So there's 2, I believe, in the front. Then if they got the key. Grapple. That's interesting. Yeah, you know, if I was Sloaters, I wouldn't bother keeping this. He doesn't need grapple at all to get into Wreck Ship. He might, at this point, he might end up using it just because, even though he's well accomplished at doing CWJs, they can always go wrong, and if they go wrong, it's just a time loss. But he doesn't need it at all. If he has ice, he won't need it for Shack Tool either. So carrying it out, I mean, the only real benefit it has if he ends up like hell running, it's actually really nice to farm before Ridley to have. Otherwise, that farm is pretty annoying. But like, he's probably gonna do the Bryn loop later, right? So if he wants it, just to have it, grab it then. He will be checking this item. Yeah, he's probably not gonna get this. Oh, nope. Okay.
Well,
good job, Sloaters.
At least he saved before doing that.
Only Sloaters would try to sequence break a 5 bomb capacity upgrade underneath the bridge.
Yeah, meanwhile, Solski getting some big find with that Pearl. Moon Pearl here in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, that does mean we may have... Yeah, this may be Aggro require Dark World.
Oh, and there's the other orb, the Morph Ball.
And the boots. Well, okay. Never mind. Oh,
and that unlocks the hammer. So
yeah, so this is really bad for this. Again, Sloater's plan was just do SM and hope. You know, he had a hook shot, pretty important item in a location that he wasn't able to get to just because he's not experienced with those dark rooms, and then that is leading to just a whole bunch of progression.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that there's not a whole lot left for Sloaters to check, so it won't be too far behind, but...
yeah, but we are going to be seeing...
probably old Mother Brain before going back to Link to the Past to do Front of Escape.
Yeah, we're going to see why Mother Brain... the screw attack's bad, because he's going to be going down here. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if he gauntlets. Just, again, like, that's... like, Solski definitely is the favorite to win this. Solski's got a very big advantage in A Link to the Past. So Sloaters really is relying on it being an SM seed and chasing it. So if the siege is not going to play out that way, it's just not going to be Sloaters' day.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting as this tournament goes on, especially even outside this match with the different backgrounds of all the players. I know myself, I'm much more experienced in Link to the Past, pretty new to Super Metroid, and we're going to see a lot of matchups with different experience, whether it's speedruns versus randomizers primarily. So like routing could be a big difference, or one game is just that much stronger. So I'm sure we'll see matchups on the other side of this coin where we get a not very well-versed Super Metroid player that's extremely good at Link to the Past.
We don't have
the routing and decisions.
There's no one who's really the analog of Sloaters QD on the Link to the Past side. There's not, like, if like Airy decided to join, like that would be the same thing. But there's no one like, with just this high of a skill level on the one in A Link to the Past that's just just has like very little experience in SM. So like Sloaters QD are definitely the two kind of wild cards out here that they can definitely do some damage. QD's A Link to the Past is probably a little bit stronger than Sloaters, so Sloaters is probably the biggest skill gap in this tournament between the two. And then that is much more of a compliment to his SM play than anything about his A Link to the Past. Cutie has every time he tries to do NMG, he hard locks on Laser Bridge. He hasn't actually finished the run yet, despite my protests.
Yeah, and we know we get the ped check. Looks like we know early that that's dead, so we can just let the memes die early.
Thank God.
Obviously, Solski probably hoping for something there in this case, which is not usually what happens when you watch runners check pedestal, but it's certainly not a problem. It
Yeah,
definitely speeds up the game, and even though it gives him less of an advantage, it's still a good thing.
I actually always root for ped seeds when I'm playing, because the more A Link to the Past that I can play, I feel like the better my chances are.
Yeah, I'm usually in the same boat.
Especially if it's like something where you have the book, you can check it early and you know it's ped, so it's just straightforward and you can just hard line to it. I always feel like that plays on my advantage. So same thing with Solski here. The more A Link to the Past has to be done, the better this is going to be for Solski. SM generally gets full cleared in these, no matter what. The only situations it doesn't is if you have like a go mode Varia or a go mode Gravity. In which case, both these guys would just end up skipping that and just not doing it. Sloater's a very, very good RBO player. I think he's top 5, if not even higher than that. So Sloaters will not hesitate to skip the suits. The only the downside for that, for a player like Sloaters who RBO just is really good at it, is Hell Runs and Suitless Meridia is just slow. It doesn't matter how good you are at it, it's going to slow you down over having a suit to do it. Obviously, the Hell Runs, you have to stop and Crystal Flash, you got to do a lot of farming. And then Suitless Meridia is literally just slow. So you generally don't see it too much in a normal mode. Suitless can be required in hard, but like no one's ever going to do it in normal. Honestly, if this would be the one time, this matchup would be the one time where I might see Sloaters maybe making a Cosmic Brain suitless play to try to snag something ridiculous.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it looks like we have a Skullwoods was a crystal. It's like Solski grabbed. Was it just one item out of the front? Is that correct? I know I get a 3-pack of bombs.
For Skullwoods, I wasn't. Yeah, I was mostly looking at the other screen.
Okay.
Which makes no sense. I really should be looking at Solski's because he's doing the new progression.
Yeah, so it looks like he'll be heading through Village of Outcasts, Thieves Town, getting his second crystal, which is pretty good pace for crystal progression. Of course, doesn't mean a whole lot with how many items you still need. And Sloaters had kind of a slow death warp with the blue mail, actually making that a lot more difficult. The green guards only did, was that a quarter heart of damage? Or no, they still do half a heart. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Solski showing me disrespect by opening up the wrong chests, even though I told him the right ones to open. I'm surprised he didn't open the bottom left and the top right, because he does that just to annoy me. The two on the left. You open the left one, and then you open the one further more to the left as far right as possible. It is 8 frames faster. Solski taking the white route. That's a no-no. No, Maniacal, the left chest. God, not even listening.
And I imagine we'll definitely see some more divergence as soon as Sloaters finishes Paradox Cave. I'm assuming he'll take the Morph Ball into Super Metroid, and we'll see a very different route for quite a while, since he'll have power bombs and plenty of supers and missiles to go through and clear quite a lot of Super Metroid. Solski getting paid out with the mirror too is probably going to keep him in Link to the Past for longer though. So we'll see where the bulk of the progression ends up being. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing from Solski's viewpoint. So in SMZ3, early game is you're basically the two things you want are Morph Ball and you want Dark World access. That opens up a large part of both games just right there, and then the rest of the items just kind of fill in the rest of the games. So Solski ended up getting effectively both in Paradox. Didn't actually get his hammer, but he knew where it was, so effectively unlocked it. So he had the decision of what game to go to, and he's choosing A Link to the Past. That's a little surprising to me because, again, Sloaters wins this by doing SM, being faster at it, and it being loaded. Solski is a good SM player, so Sloaters will put up several minutes on Solski in SM over the course of it. But if Solski just follows SM and kind of defends against Sloaters, it really reduces the likelihood of an upset here. So it's interesting that he's deciding A Link to the Past. He could just be thinking that it being A Link to the Past is his best shot, but I think Solski's got enough of an advantage in this matchup overall that if I was him, I'd be trying to shadow Sloaters as much as possible. Do as much SM as possible. Okay, I'm going to lose a little time there versus him, but if there's something big there, it's not going to blow the seat open.
Yeah, it might be. He might just be trying to avoid metagaming at all and just, like you mentioned, play the seed to his best ability, the way he thinks is the ultimately fastest. Because I know that he has mentioned before that going into Super Metroid early isn't always the right play. I think he prefers to do Link to the Past.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I just think in this one, it's a 1 versus 4. There's a pretty obvious path to the upset. I feel like maybe just defending against that is the smart move. Sloaters going right into Wreck Ship. I think this is the play for both, the correct play for both a Sloaters and QD, where it's kind of very similar in how they should approach this. Just again, very strong runners. This is how they do Wreck Ship normally. This is actually more. This is very comfortable for Sloaters. Normally coming in here with only 1 E-Tank. I think.
Less than 30 missiles.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a gamble. It doesn't have speed, but I think the best bet for them is they come here super early. They hope their opponent puts it off. They hope there's some progression here, and they hope Wreck Ship Reserve is not an item. And this is in logic with grapple, but I think he would have been doing the CWJ to get in here no matter what. So I like this play from Sloaters. I think it is, from his perspective, he's got to swing for the fences and hope he gets one over in this. But yeah, this.
For sure. So Solski taking looks like a very safe, comfortable, full clear route, going back for Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb with the mirror. Definitely makes a lot of sense. Oh, and he hasn't done Bonk Rocks yet. That's right.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, what Solski is doing is the correct play. Actually, hold on. I want to watch the Sloaters. Anytime I see Sloaters do this fight, it's just amazing. Gonna get the probably getting the 2 cycle right here. Oh, he missed it. Oh, he's so mad.
Yeah, we kind of glossed over the scripted blind fight. I know that if you've watched most of the players in this tournament, they're capable of doing at least pretty close to the scripted blind fight and not lose much time. But this Phantoon one is the opposite. There's several options with the RNG from the boss, and obviously Duck, you can explain things a lot better, but you can waste a lot of time very easily. Or even with a great kill like that, Sloaters still probably isn't happy, but I would take that any day.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was saying, I think Solski, like in a vacuum, I think what Solski is doing is the correct thing to do here. He's got the major speed upgrade for A Link to the Past, being the boots. He's got none of the speed upgrades for Super Metroid. He's got Dark World access, so he's got a lot open to him. So I think it makes sense. You kind of like stuff like this early stuff. You're never gonna be able to skip it. You're pretty much always gonna be doing these checks at some point. So I think having the boots, not having a high jumper speed for SM, I think that's what makes sense. The play Sloaters is making, honestly only makes sense for his incredibly unique circumstances. This isn't a play I would recommend pretty much anyone else to make. But for him, it is, I believe it is the correct play. He hasn't found anything here yet. Like I said, this is definitely a swing for the fences type thing.
Yeah, I do want to point out, Solski did grab the high jump boots. They were in the big chest in Thieves Town, so he will have those as soon as he does go to Super Metroid, which is good for him to mitigate give him a little bit more of an edge to get through rooms faster.
Yeah, and there's the gravity suit.
Gravity suit.
Yeah. So one of Sloater's potential Cosmic Brain plays doing a Suitless Meridia is kind of off the table.
Exactly. Sloater's doing a great job getting through the sponge bath. Only taking a couple of attempts to get through there with no high jump, with no space jump, speed booster, all that stuff. That room is not as easy as he made it look.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, this randomizer versus either of them by themselves, it's definitely interesting because, like, SM is really broken up into 3 chunks, more or less. You have, like, the opening with Morph, and then you need, like, obviously some ammo. And then you kind of, like, the 2 remaining areas are pretty much just blocked by the suits, and then there's only a handful of locations that are strictly blocked by something else. So it tends to be, like, what you do is, like, you play Link to the Past, you get, like, Morph, and then you go do a bunch of SM. And it's kind of like just full clear all that. And then you play a little Link to the Past looking for another one of those big items. So the Solski's already has 2 or 3/4 basically of SM open with that gravity suit. The only thing Varia's Go mode for SM. Like, Go mode for SM happens real quick in this. So it's interesting, like, how it kind of, like, plays back and forth. You wouldn't really play either randomizer by itself like this, and I think it opens up some interesting things. I also like the execution. SM is so execution heavy, and it's straightforward. It really just kind of, like, changes, like, kind of the feel of it. I think it makes it a little bit harder just to win just from a Cosmic Brain routing, because the top SM guys can just really put up just a massive amount of time on you in SM if you're not comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, Sloater's still not getting any really good payouts here in Wreck Ship, while Solski got the Fire Rod off of Stumpy. So it looks like he'll be able to clear Skull Woods, which I believe has a second item. I can't recall for sure. But that could be, again, another advantage. Having to do Mothula, if it is required, with just Master Sword or Hammer and not that many hearts, could be a little bit tricky. Forgetting he doesn't have flippers, though. That's a bit of a rough one. I thought that's where he was heading, but I didn't want to call it out. I thought maybe I just missed the flippers, or he was seeing something I didn't, but it's a bit of a time waste.
Just something minor there. Like, you see Sloater's doing speaking of the flippers. So, there you go. That's, I mean, flippers, you think not the biggest thing, but let's say there's something big in Swamp. Sloater's going to be able to do that kind of pretty much as soon as he gets back to A Link to the Past. And we know where Gravity is, so he's not going to be doing Meridia right now or anything. You know, if Swamp's got something big, you know, like, I don't even know, like Bow or something, right? Or Ice Rod. Like, that can be really, really big. So I would say, like, just that, I think this play has paid off for, so as long as he doesn't die. Jeez, just he's so used to running through that thing, he can't even grapple it right. It's amazing.
How much damage do those spikes do there?
A lot. I'm not even sure.
I wasn't sure if he could take one more hit or not.
I tend to not come in here with no suit and only 2 E-tanks, so I'm not exactly sure. It's 60 per hit with no suit.
And then Solski, again, very defensive here with this play. Definitely makes sense coming back to Desert for the second item, since he probably assumes that Sloaters would not be doing this. This is one of the last places Solski has, apart from Pendant Pod and that east side of Dark World. He doesn't really have a lot of Link to the Past places left to check. Probably just trying to clean up every loose end he can.
I didn't. So was there something in, or does Sloaters check Wreck Ship Reserve? I missed that. I'm not even sure if he he did or not.
If he checked it, I missed
Ooh,
it
and
as
there's
well.
Varia. So yeah, this is a pretty big payoff for Sloaters.
Yeah, absolutely. That puts everything in Upper Norfair in logic. Well,
yeah, as I will say, as far as payoffs go, that's probably the one he wanted the least because again, he could rely on his skill in hell running to maybe do like a lower Norfair hell run pretty early. That's kind of off the table as a potential big play. But if this does, if nothing else, this does tell Sloaters that he can go straight to lower or to Norfair. Probably will. I would not be surprised if we just see lower Norfair here as well. Just go ahead and do it. Although his ammo count was really bad for that if he decides to do that, so we may see upper into lower perhaps. Meanwhile, Solski continuing to just ignore his morph ball and staying in A Link to the Past, doing some. He's kind of like out of the density. I'm surprised still that he's not making use of his morph ball to go over to SM.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe a little bit more surprised that he isn't going into Skull Woods. I think that'd be. Of course, I'm not the best at routing this, so may not be the best decision. But with the ability to complete yet another crystal dungeon, unless like I said, unless I miscounted and there's not a second item there, I think that'd be a really smart place to go. Because if that is required early, that's a tough fight for Sloaters on, what, like 8 hearts or so?
Yeah, that would be... It's not the easy... He does have Blue Mail already, so I expect Sloaters will probably be able to get through it, although I'm maybe a little nervous about it. He also does have the bottle, so he could Sloaters could potentially make a little detour to fill that up. Did he just forget to turn Moonfall on? I'm really confused. Or does he not? Oh, maybe he doesn't do it. I think Sloater actually might. I guess he doesn't use Moonfall. I just kind of assumed he did. Okay, he doesn't. All right. Turning down the extra E-tank with 3 tanks.
That's... I gotta say, I don't think I've seen that before.
It's
SMZ3.
It's one of the longer ones to get. You're looking for... Yeah, he's got 3. He can complete the game. He's got Varia, so he's not worried about hell runs.
Right.
So yeah, the next kind of cutoff is you're looking for 7, so you can do stand-up, but that's so far away, you're probably going to find that many. That's a pretty long item to get. Like, I can't blame him for skipping it. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. The length of time it takes to get it, because with how many chests he's going to open and how many items he'll pick up in SM, even without being able to see what they are in advance, Sloaters is probably assuming that he's going to find some more E-tanks accidentally, and it won't be an issue.
He has 3 E-tanks and skips the E-tank, and then he sees a heart piece. He's like, oh, hell yes.
All right, and while this route from Solski makes a lot of sense, pairing the pyramid ledge check with the front of escape that he has left, unfortunately he's not finding anything good here. We've already seen it from Sloaters. So just a little bit of a time waste. But a smart check nonetheless. And he won't have to death warp out, which is good too. He has the mirror to just go right back to Dark World, and then probably into Pod or Catfish, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised I guess he's gonna finish off this Catfish. I do like, this is kind of the way I like routing in Meridia. He does have the gravity suit already. He may be thinking just go straight to Meridia. It makes sense even from a matchup perspective. He's probably thinking Sloaters is prioritizing SM, and he's prioritizing Link to the Past. He got the gravity suit, so probably going to look to pay that off. You can just take this Catfish right into the Dark World shopping mall. Go to Meridia. He will have to fake flipper it, so it's a little scary. Anything, if you get hit by anything, it's going to be a soft lock. So we'll see if he decides to do that. That would be my plan. We'll see what he ends up deciding to do.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that, but that's really smart, especially with knowing that he has Gravity Suit and that the Gravity Suit was in Dark World in Link to the Past. It was in a very easy to get location in Hype Cave, which could potentially be Sloater's very first Dark World checks. So maybe it's less of an advantage because of that, but still an advantage.
Yeah, Solski has a low 50% or 50 in any percent now. I don't think he got the 49. I know he was kind of trying for it recently, but he just hasn't updated it on his page. But yeah, he is definitely better than 53. Yeah, Sloater's grabbing that super missile. I expect to see Ridley here soon. Still a little short on ammo. I forget exactly. Like power bombs, I think do 200 damage onto Ridley, and you can double hit him. But this would be a very, very tight Ridley fight. So definitely hoping for at least one more super pack, if not two. If he finds two, then he'll be fine.
And we've got the Pendant Pod, or sorry, not Pod, Pendant Tower of Heraplay coming up from Solski, it looks like. This is really interesting. I obviously expected what we've talked about with Solski leaning a little bit harder on Link to the Past and Sloater's doing the same with Super Metroid, but the way the seed's working out, it could be quite a while before they cross paths.
Yeah.
They keep finding other things they can do in their respective game.
Yeah, I think is it 200 for power bombs really? Because if it is, I know you can double hit him, which isn't the easiest thing. That would barely be enough because he's 6,000 damage short on the supers. Got 3,000 back from those missiles, and then he's got 10 power bombs. Which if it's 200 would be 2,000, and then he can double hit some of them. But it's certainly not something he wants to do. So we'll see. Probably see Upper Norfair at the very least first. Okay, Aussie's saying he has plenty of ammo for Ridley. I'll take Aussie's word for it. I was kind of fishing with those comments at someone who knows more about SM damage values to chime in. Aussie being one of those people. Yeah, he's logically short. The logic does require 30 supers, but obviously he's got missiles and power bombs to also use that can count. Not for logic, but he can use them to actually defeat Ridley. Again, if it was literally anyone else on the right screen here, they would not be going to Ridley. This is a Sloater's only thing. Wow, he's not even. Okay, he's just checking that item down there.
I thought he might be going to Crocomire there before Bubble Mountain.
Yeah, I think
find something to get him through LN like a little bit more comfortably, like a few more supers or
yeah. At this, there is a very minor routing efficiency of doing lower Norfair first because it just spits you back up here. But on this ammo count, he's still looking for some stuff that would make it a little bit faster. You could find Space Jump to get the worst room in the game, and Amphitheater a little bit better. Not that he needs it, just it's going to be faster is the main thing. In this situation, it makes sense to do Upper Norfair and probably Croc first before heading down. So I can expect Upper Norfair go down to Croc and then go bottom route to LM. But you know, he's already got paid off with the flippers from the early wreck ship. If he gets paid off, you know, maybe, again, like Bo would be big. You know, that'd be that's Sloater's path to the upset. Is something in LN would be is Sloater's best hope.
Yeah, the thing I'd like to note though is that payoff only really works if you are able to take advantage of it at some point. So if it goes on too long, you know, you can't last location, you know, Swamp Palace or something like that, and not get to use those flippers any earlier than your opponent. And I think that's probably more the case for Solski here, that he's running kind of low on Link to the Past checks that make sense, and eventually he's going to have to take advantage of, like you said, that gravity suit into Meridia, or you know, maybe the high jump boots to get through something logically, like follow it to. I guess high jump boots don't unlock because they already had more bombs. But
yeah, it's Solski's routing is interesting because it feels like he is meting his opponent. Again, Sloaters is a very like specific case that you'd have to pay attention to. It's just like if you're gonna do that, I feel like you would metagame by shadowing him more than anything. Maybe not to the extent, maybe not do a Ridley if that's what Sloater does here, because that's pretty tough. But you know, I think like doing wreck ship or you know early as possible, get it out of the way, stuff like that. But just like hard avoiding SM seems is an interesting decision.
Yeah, looks like we finally get Solski coming into Super Metroid up here, Business Center. I'm guessing he's gonna go to Meridia through here, but I don't really know. Up to Crate and Meridia.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of E-tanks, but he could definitely get through to Ice Beam and.
Yeah, the problem. So Solski's problem with Meridia though is. See, this is why it's really surprising he didn't backdoor it, because the only way he can kill Dragoon right now is by backdooring. He doesn't have speed. He doesn't have ice. I mean, you can do the Crystal Flash clip, but I don't think he's gonna be doing that today. So like, yeah, like, might just be doing this, going up to do the Bryn loop, and then maybe coming back down to Meridia. Unfortunately, really the only thing, I mean, Dre will be in logic with the flippers, right? So, but he's gonna have to do Bryn loop, go to wreck ship, then he's gonna have to go back to the Link to the Past to go there. So I'm not entirely sure if he may have just avoided the Meridia play early because again you can soft lock or you can get insta killed in the randomizer, just an insta kill, not a soft lock. But you can at least try it once. You know, if you fail, then it's just a save and quit basically.
Yeah, as opposed to just saving and quitting auto catfish anyway. Either way, it's a dead end kind of. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you probably don't want to try 3 or 4 times if you keep dying. It's going to take a good long time, but I don't know, I'd have liked to see it right off the bat there. I mean, this is a little bit with hindsight because we know where flippers are. We know that is in logic.
Oh, nice.
Also getting preyed down with the 4 super kill, and Sloater's getting the silver arrows. That's a pretty good find for Sloaters if he can get the bow as well sooner than later. That'll make something like stuff like Vidi and Helmasaur pretty easy for him. I can't wait for Solski to watch this back and tell me I'm wrong about everything. No, Duck, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's easy to speculate on what both the runners are thinking or what their plans are, but I gotta admit I'm probably wrong most of the time as well.
Yeah, I always put the caveat that you know, I'm pretty decent at these games and I lose in rando a lot, so you probably shouldn't listen to me for routing advice. So just getting a nice green gate glitch there, with only really having the morph ball bombs to get up to grapple. I think this backdooring to grapple makes sense. I'll probably see the IBJs from Sloaters up to the Indiana Jones missiles, doing it with grapple without. He's got a high jump, doesn't have Or no, he doesn't have high jump. Excuse me, only Solski
He does not. That's correct.
Yeah, there's a pretty good strat if you have high jump and speed. Doesn't really work so well, then you kind of have to like casual with the grapple. So probably just gonna see an IBJ here. And by the way, shout out to these double bomb IBJs. Is he gonna? Okay, yeah, I was about to say, is he gonna go up through the little hole here? Like, I was wondering when I was like, can you do it that far right? I didn't think so.
I didn't know there was a hole there.
Well, you can come down. I think it's further to the right, isn't it? I trusted Sloaters knew what he was doing. That's kind of funny. I'm having a little trouble with these double bombs. Yeah, just gonna resort to singles from here on out. I've tried the double. I cannot do it. I just do not get the rhythm for it. But you can see, like, just, you know, from what he was doing before, just how much faster those doubles were. Though, slowing down a little bit here. But just taking it safe. Not wanting to fail out again. Yeah, and unfortunately he also didn't have it on screen, so he had to complete it as well. To find, unfortunately, only $5. You know, we actually haven't seen the Bryn loop from either of these guys yet, have we?
We saw part of it from Sloaters when he just had screw attack, but probably doesn't want to have to double dip, thinking that Solski would not probably go there with just screw attack. And he lost some time on that efficiency. Might be putting it off.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could be something big there. We do see magic power. So this is looking like a pretty safe A Link to the Past seed.
Yeah. No blue mail yet, but 3 swords already that we've seen. Powder a bottle. No cape or blue cane yet. Have we seen those?
Yeah, blue cane was in Ice Rod Cave. So Sloaters does have an invulnerability item. He's got silvers, well, at least when he has the bow. He's got an invulnerability item. He's got powder. He's got blue mail. So it's not really going to be low. Yeah, now Solski is now heading into Rex ship, thinking that high jump gravity is his logical access. Of course, we know. I mean, you don't know how the seed actually got generated, but grapple also giving him access. So Sloaters' advantage is kind of running thin here. Solski will be finding all the stuff that Sloaters has. Solski having gravity and Varia. He'll be able to do a pretty easy lava dive Secret Sprint if he chooses to.
Yeah, this actually could be a good opportunity for Solski to. Well, it wouldn't pay out, but it might look like a kind of seed where you could skip the back half of the wreck ship. A lot of fairly slow checks, and I know there's some people that like to do that. With how much is available with getting the Varia suit, I think that's a reasonable play.
Yeah, I don't think Solski's going to skip it. I think he's best bet is to play somewhat conservatively. By the way, this high jump list lava dive just very nicely done by Sloaters. That is incredibly difficult. We will not be seeing the pixel perfect worst room in the game though. He does have morph ball bombs. Well, I mean, he might still go for it. I think if he gets it like first or second try, that'd be faster than the bomb jump. I hope he goes for it. So let's see if Solski can match Sloaters' 3 cycle.
He had a little trouble to start putting too many missiles in before getting the Doppler set up.
Yeah, he might still be able to save the 3 with a decent Doppler at the end. It just looks like he didn't either decide not to go for it or just didn't quite get that super off. Yeah, so it looks like he finished it off of a 4 cycle.
Still nicely done. I know, at least for me, Gravity Suit obviously helps a ton, but only 2 E-Tanks still, so that's not free.
Yeah, with Gravity Suit, it's pretty. It's effectively 4 E-Tanks for someone like Solski.
Yeah, for him, it's free.
It's not a scary fight at that point. So Sloaters still real low on ammo here. Maybe hoping something maybe in the mire area. So this is the one downside from Sloaters play is that he's not going to be able to complete mire like this. He may still decide to go in because this is part of his advantage, being able to do this mire area early. And he's got enough health and ammo, or weapons and everything on Link to the Past. I don't think he'll be scared of mire at this point. So we'll see if he dips in and does the half check. Mire's not the worst dungeon to double dip. It's got kind of a flat layout. So if you come back, you can just go straight to the back. So we'll see what. It looks like he just decides not to go in at all.
Yeah, that mire play, it depends a lot on the key layout, of course, because sometimes you have to full clear almost everything in the front just to find the key anyway. So doing it early and getting both items, as opposed to getting to go mode it later, or go straight from the final chest to the boss, could be not a big time loss for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. Oh wow, he just so he turns down actually going after Ridley. Maybe saw his ammo count and thought better of it. Possible, but it certainly would have been a tough fight. If even having to do that fight twice, having to reset and come back, would be a pretty big time loss. So where was the mirror? Because that's what's the only thing blocking Sloaters from.
Mirror was in Thieves Town, front of Thieves Town.
Oh, Thieves Town. Okay, so if Sloaters probably going to do Thieves Town right away, it's pretty. At this point, he's more than prepared for it. Interesting, he didn't take the old man heal though. Get the mirror, and at that point, I really would like him to chase. He knows he got those flippers probably a lot earlier than Solski. So anything that he got in those plays, so being flippers and then Vario being the other one, which he did those checks already. I think Sloaters should hard chase those and hope he's advantage and just continue to kind of pay off.
Oh, and then we got the red mail. That's nice. From Sig Kid. Now we're real comfy. Second row hearts, red mail, tempered sword.
Yeah, so this is kind of sort of the seed you would sort of draw up to give the Sloaters upset. You got that item in Sloaters, please. You got the item in the early wreck ship play. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the mirror soon. Pay that off with Swamp. The question is now, like, Solski is now shadowing what Sloaters did, and so the question is the gap that Sloaters established big enough to hold Solski off with Solski's execution advantage in A Link to the Past? And I don't know if it is. I don't know if there was a big enough payoff there that it's going to work out. Because I mean, at this point, they're even on SM bosses. Solski's got a two boss advantage in A Link to the Past. The desert's not going to be too long to go back to.
Yeah, especially depending on if Flute turns up, or if Sloaters ends up being able to clear it with the mirror after coming out of Lower Norfair.
Yeah.
Faster to get to.
It's the thing with that Lower Norfair. I think the Lower Norfair play was the last SM play Sloaters could really make. Because it's going to get to the point where that's well within Solski's wheelhouse to do. I mean, even at this point, with what Solski has, he'll be fine going to Lower Norfair. Probably not happy with the Z-Tanks, but he's certainly willing to do it on that amount.
Yeah, and of course we still haven't seen most of Brinstar. We get a nice crystal check. First crystal check in the Dark World for Sloaters. I know it always takes me a long time to read those. I didn't really see it when Solski pulled up, but good job for our tracker already having that information on the screen.
Yeah, well, Sloaters does need to do Thieves Town to get his mirror before getting Swamp, which is where the mirror was. So he gets that gravity. Let's see if that gravity entices him to do. Now he does have the flippers. So the play I was talking about before was Solski doing the backdoor into Meridia. Sloaters can logically do that, and it's right now it's really looking like that is our logical Dragon access. It very well could be that speed could even be like GT, and that's how the seed wants you to do it.
Yeah, it looks like some indecision from Sloaters. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was really expecting the back door there.
I thought he was maybe going to Bombo's tablet. They do have the book.
No mirror still.
He doesn't have the mirror still.
Yeah, he avoided Thieves Town, which is it's a this probably some of Sloaters' inexperience in the Link to Past randomizer. Once you have boots and the hammer, there's so very little reason not to do Thieves Town. Thieves Town doesn't really benefit all that much from go moding. You still have to look for the big key in the first floor, so it's not like you can just go to where the big key is. You can skip like the attic chest and like blind cell, but it's so little value.
Yeah.
Again, especially in this combo where matches are decided by minutes generally, not seconds.
Yeah, and skipping those chests is literally just not opening the chest in the room you already have to go in.
Yeah, it's like you're always in the combo. You're always, you got the 7 crystals you need to do, and you got the 4 bosses you got to kill. So you might as well be going to do those as soon as possible, and then especially with the dungeons, a lot of the dungeons they force you to open checks just to find the big key and stuff. It makes sense just to do the Thieves Town as soon as possible. So, and it's not like, I mean, that's got to be a strategic decision at this point because Sloaters is well armed for Thieves Town. I can't imagine he'd be scared of it at this point.
I think that's our first accidental X-ray on Solski's side. At least both of the runners have gotten some use of it, being able to check things without having to lay and wait for power bombs. So it's not been completely worthless item for them to pick up.
Yeah, X-ray is, you can check items with it, and then you can microwave with it. Generally, if I see X-ray early, I'm gonna skip it. The only time I ever pick it up is if I have charge and plasma, and I haven't killed Dre yet, which is a pretty specific set of circumstances. Otherwise, I avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, it can also be useful if you're not as experienced with making sure you can escape. If you make a mistake in stand-up glitch and you get stuck down, you can use it to stand back up. That's honestly the main reason I pick it up. These guys don't have to worry about that. I'm sure if they get charged and are able to do stand-up, they will not have that problem.
Still avoiding the Bryn loop, it looks like.
Avoiding Brinstar and Solski taking those flippers back into Swamp, it looks like.
Yeah, this is definitely bad for Sloaters. His early wreck ship play really only paid off with the flippers. Potentially could have paid off a little bit more with a very early lower Norfair. Unfortunately, Sloaters declined that, also declining to even go into Mire, which he could have kind of read as part of his payoff. And Solski being the first one into Swamp, which would have been that payoff. So, yeah, it's not looking too good for Sloaters at the moment. Solski's still up 2 crystals, even on the boss count in SM. Although it's going to be 1 crystal here very shortly with Sloaters in his Limo fight.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought might have been a good idea from Sloaters, when he had that moment of indecision outside of Swamp initially, without having the mirror to be able to get in, if he had gone west and grabbed the fire rod from Stumpy, he could have got a little bit of an advantage, being able to go straight into Skull Woods when he eventually gets around to the Dark World there to do Skull Woods and Thieves Town together. Which we haven't seen that back of Skull Woods yet, and that's, of course, required crystal.
Oh, that hammer dash through those pots is such a meme. Yeah, the problem is once this gets down to just a Link to the Past, which it tends to happen fairly often, and this is definitely a seed where that kind of sets up where, I mean, at this point they have access to pretty much everything in SM. The one item that's hard locked by Space Jump we know is nothing. You can see 3 of the 4 hard lock speed items, Aqueduct being able to get around that with the Snail Clip. We have Grapple for Shack Tool. You know, so there's really not a lot that's going to be left in SM. It's probably going to be done sooner than later. It's just going to be a Link to the Past. Once it gets to that point, if Sloaters doesn't have a lead at that point, it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to make a comeback here. That being said, it is still a Link to the Past randomizers. Sloaters could just make the right play at some point and snag a lead back, you know. So it's not; these are never truly over till it's over. But the advantage that Sloaters was having with his SM plays is slipping away here.
Yeah, and it looks like there are still several items we need for Link to the Past. We still need the red cane, we still need the bow, and we still need the mitts. So it's not just one item that's keeping them on a go mode, because that's which could end up being definitely better for Sloaters, that if there is a chain of those and he finds the first one first and can avoid quite a few checks.
Yeah, actually, chat pointing out, since Solski has avoided the Bryn Loop and Sloaters at least half-dipped it, Sloaters does have the Grapple Beam, which means potentially if something as big as on Shack, depending on when Solski goes to Meridia, that is definitely something that could swing this seed. Because Sloaters will be able to do it. Solski would either need the Grapple or the Ice Beam to be able to at least get it. Although, you can do an X-Ray climb, right? Or do you need Ice for that too? I think you still need Ice for that. Someone is going to correct me very shortly here.
I'd correct you if I knew, but I don't know nearly enough about Super Metroid.
There's enough SM pros in there. I just say, okay. Do not, yeah. So I don't know if Solski knows how to do that, but so he could actually get the Shackle item with just X-ray because you do not need Ice for it.
And to the disappointment of everyone in chat, it's like Solski's not going to be doing the diver down. Of course, saves time, but a lot less than some people would make it seem, so must just not have learned that one yet. He did get the big chest already, right? Solski did?
Solski? Not 100% sure. I was too busy cosmic bringing this X-ray climb thing to notice.
Okay. Looks like
Chad is confirming he did get it. So
yeah, because that could be a big argument not to do diver down. I know if you do it and then you get the big key there and you have to come back up to open the chest or redip the dungeon, it can be less of a time save to have to either set up the diver down another time or go around anyway.
Yeah, it's one of the, I just generally do left side second because I always hate getting the big key and then having to go back. Also doing left side second, you have the most information about the dungeon. So if just like one item there, maybe don't do it. The only time I do left side first is if I get the big key in one of the two chests.
Yeah, there's a lot of very hotly contested ways of doing Swamp Palace, but
yeah, the thing is,
a
like,
nice job getting through it.
Left side swamp is because we're saying like always want to be clearing dungeons to get in the chests on the way. Swamp you don't need a big here. I think you can just always go straight to the back. So there's a couple chests on the way. Left side, for all intents and purposes, is basically not part of the actual dungeon. It doesn't actually get you any closer to the boss. It's just left side is almost more like Mimic Cave than it is actually part of Swamp Palace proper, at least from like a routing perspective. The main reason you want to do it when you do Swamp Palace the first time is just that resetting up the dam and everything takes so long that it's a pretty, it's a really big time swing to put it off till later, and then it's something you just never come back to until very, very late. Sloaters, you may want to use that. Okay. Holy shit. Alright. So Blind's a scripted fight. That is the Sloaters script. Would not necessarily the best script I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's funny because the blind being a scripted fight is the commentary that comes up in almost every one of these races, and we glossed over it since Sloaters was doing a beautiful Phantoon fight. So we missed Solski's pretty much right on script. The Sloaters gets through it. That's the most important thing. Even when that one goes off script, the lucky part is it doesn't cost you that much time compared to some of the bosses that can get really messy, like Cold Stare, or even like Trinex can do a lot of damage to you if you start to struggle. Get ice on the floor.
Yeah. So Solski finally making the play I want someone to make a long time ago. We'll see if this pays off. We're still looking for a good bit. We're still looking for mitts, still looking for bow, still looking for red cane. Flute. So we need, for lower Norfair to be in logic, we need neither flute or space jump. We obviously saw Sloaters does not care about that part of the logic. Solski having gravity suit can do a pretty easy gravity jump and high jump. He can do the high jump lava dive too, no problem. So both these runners are not going to care about the lower Norfair logical axis. Solski may only care about it in the fact that if his actual logical lower Norfair is very late, just may not prioritize it because it's very possible there's just nothing in lower Norfair at that point.
Yeah, and this is a good time too for Solski to do the Meridia play, like you mentioned. You wanted to see it earlier, but I think possibly what Solski's thinking is that high jump, which he got in Link to the Past, led him to wreck ship logically to get flippers. And since Swamp didn't pay out, this is the next thing that's available with those flippers that could push you right here.
Yeah, Solski having to do a pure ammo fight on Dragoon. One of the slower fights you can do, but he's doing pretty much as good of a job as you can do on this type of fight. Making use of the power bombs to clear out this goo so you can just unload these supers in Dragoon. Yeah, nicely done. Oop, there's the shovel. So we'll see if this pays off.
Yeah, so far the only fetch quest we've seen is the magic powder that I believe was checked. Is that right?
I don't remember if Solski actually. It's sometimes hard to see those when you're looking at two runners, seeing someone check off one of the fetch quests.
Yeah, I believe it was checked. Yeah, our tracker confirming that it was checked. I'm pretty sure it was rupees. I couldn't remember if that was this seed or the race that I was watching before this one started.
Oh, never watch a race before you commentate one. That's. Solski doing a very nice job with these D-boosts back through Coliseum. Some of these are pretty tricky. This last one is the hardest one, and it gets it. Yeah, it's very nice. See, this is why I was saying, like, if I was Solski, I'd be defending against Sloaters' SM play as much as possible, because like Solski is very good at SM too. It's just Sloaters is one of the very very best. So sure, you're going to be doing it slower than Sloaters. There's really nothing you can do about that except for play the game for years on end. But it would defend against just Sloaters getting some sort of just a huge payout in wreck ship and all that kind of stuff. So definitely interesting the route Solski chose to take through this seed so far. Solski actually doing another use for X-ray. Yeah, this makes this snail clip a lot easier. You can just tap X-ray to put the snail right into the correct position. Oh no, he soft locks himself!
Oh no.
Oh, that is super bad. I don't know if there's any way out of this. Wow, yeah.
And this is not something he expected. So he didn't save after Dragoon either.
Yeah. If he is not able to get out of this, it's not going to be too bad for him. It's not like he full clear Meridia and like got a bunch of stuff. Yeah, he's just going to have to. Wow, that is really bad. That's going to be a time loss of probably like 3 to 4 minutes. He's going to have to come back through that and do it again. I think this is the smart thing from Solski's point of view. He resets up to here. Didn't get anything valuable. He got the shovel, which could lead to something. But, yeah, but it's not a 100% thing.
Likely not.
He just reset. Yeah, he just reset to here. Didn't have. Hasn't done burn loop already, so might as well just do this now. I think this is very smart by Solski. Being in a bad situation, not just trying to dig yourself back out of it, but kind of taking the new situation you're in and doing the best that you can do from there. So this is, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think this is definitely smart on his part.
Yeah, I agree. This definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. See, and the other thing is he could find ice or speed somewhere in here too, right? And then in which case doesn't necessarily have to backdoor. He's already checked some of the stuff up top. He can just do Meridia through the front. Or potentially he finds other stuff here, it leads him to other stuff. I mean, we don't know what's in the front. If it's nothing, he can do the rest of the seed, just backdoor Dragon at the very end. Won't even have to worry about plasma or anything like that. So yeah, this is, in the situation he's in, definitely the correct thing to do. Shout outs to our poor tracker who had to untrack Dragon and the shovel there. I guess the shovel wasn't tracked, but that's, yeah, you never want to have to untrack something. Fortunately, there wasn't too much that was lost. It's not like we found a bunch of stuff in Meridia before we had to start rolling the spool there.
Yeah, looks like Solski not turning down a 4th energy tank. Surprised that we've only seen up to 4 energy tanks with how much of the game's been cleared. But definitely doesn't cost too long to get that one.
Yeah, Sloaters did show us 5th one. we just didn't pick it up.
True.
Yeah, so I still overall like the position Solski's in. He is, well, Sloaters is about to even up the crystal count here. Sloaters, I would expect probably to make the same play into Meridia right here. Hopefully will not also soft lock. We might see the rest of, so yeah, I think, as far as the race goes, if there is something valuable in Meridia, that bow again, or red cane, anything like that, could be another big advantage for Sloaters. Oh yeah, Solski's definitely tilted. That's not something you want to do. It's happened. I mean, yeah, it's you know, if you're used to a Link to the Past, you can just save and quit wherever, no matter what you get. If you die, you keep it. That is not the case for SM. SM is very punishing to any deaths or soft locks, especially something like that. It's just, you know, just hit the wrong input and he's soft locked. Definitely very, very frustrating.
Yeah, and so far not finding anything of value in Brinstar. Definitely some more checks left, but he's really hoping for a payout here to kind of ease that feeling of how badly did I mess up? What did I lose with that other than just the time I spent fighting Dragon and getting to that point?
Yeah, I mean, if you were... I mean, Solski seems to be in a pretty good position here overall, so I don't think that by itself is necessarily going to cost him the seed, or it certainly opened the door. Like, if you're Solski, like, how comfortable would you be feeling? You know, again, knowing who you're up against, probably the worst 4 seed to draw in this tournament. You know, like, that early Link to the Past stuff, you know, it paid off decently for him. I think he was pretty confident. He probably got to that Moon Pearl and everything first. But, like, you know, he knows the flippers are probably had very early by Sloaters. That didn't really pay off to anything. I think Solski probably still feels kind of comfortable, but isn't confident about it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to speculate. That Ice Rod's a nice pickup here too, though, but Ice Rod is not a huge advantage at the moment since it doesn't unlock anything until we get the Cane of Samaria and the Mitts. So not really what Solski's looking for, but...
Yeah, Ice Rod just prevents you from doing a double dip Total Rock. Just kind of takes that whole possible equation off the table. I really doubt Sloaters is gonna try to do a full Bryn skip. Again, I kind of know his strategy is play as much SM as humanly possible. Brinstar is in Super Metroid, so he will be looking to do it at some point, I think. It doesn't make sense from his perspective, though, to potentially put it off. Like, the really big items that you want early that lock a lot of the seed, like Dark World Access, Hammer, Mitts, that kind of stuff. He knows those aren't down here. Really, the only, like, really big thing could potentially be Mitts. Sloaters has both the suits, knows that can't be here. So at this point, I feel like he's comfortable doing Brinstar as late as possible. And looks like that's probably going to pay off for him. You know, especially if he can spike Speed Booster or something. Or, yes, specifically Speed Booster to make it a little bit faster. And where was High Jump again? Sloaters does not have that yet. That's another potential big item that would speed Sloaters up a little bit.
High Jump was in Thieves Town. I guess I didn't notice it, but it was in the big chest. So if he doesn't have it, that means he skipped the big chest?
May have been a miscount? It's potential... Okay, it does. Yeah, I think our... Yeah. I'm trying not to specifically call the tracker. No, but, I mean, I'll just take that. Like, Shadow Star trackers, definitely... They cover our ass way more than we cover theirs. Definitely hard to pay attention to two of these, especially when you also have to untrack stuff sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, sometimes it just eats your inputs.
Oh, that, yeah. Yeah. It's just you clicked it and it didn't go through. I've definitely heard of that problem.
Yeah, as someone who's done more tracking than commentary, that happens at least once a race, in my experience. Oh, looks like Sloaters getting grabbed, unfortunately, in Skull Woods. Not a huge time loss, but definitely slowing him down, and he did take some damage before that, so he's going to have to be a little more careful going through here. Even with Red Mail, the Gibdos still do a pretty good chunk of damage. The spikes on Mothula still do a full heart. So he's not going to want to take too much.
Yeah, the other thing that's really hard to track in this game is, like, normally you can just, like, I'll just wait till they bring up the menu, but if you're not in the game with the item, you can just kind of forget to track it for a while, so definitely a hard game to track. Again, just exactly. all the love in the world to the trackers. Alright, let's see this Oh, that's right. Solski, I just completely forgot. Solski has not actually done this. So Sloaters is actually going to go up in the crystal count here. So Solski finding the space jump, that's going to put lower Norfair in logic now. So we'll see when Solski decides to do that. Again, he may be worried about Sloaters making the very, very early lower Norfair play. So we'll see if he decides to prioritize that.
Yeah, at this point, it might be. It seems like it's one of his densest locations. I mean, obviously Meridia and Lower Norfair.
Well, he hasn't touched Norfair at all yet, right? We know there's nothing really in Upper. I mentioned before when Sloaters went there, you can little routing efficiency. You can kind of do lower into Upper because it just dumps you out right there. And then the other nice thing about that route is you can do Croc late, and Crocomire is kind of the like pendant dungeon of A Link to the Past. You preferably try to avoid it, but it kind of gets to the point where it's better just to do it. There wasn't anything in Croc area either. We did see that from Sloaters. Sloaters trying to use the mirror on the pedestal. That's Heart from the Future. Okay, he's not getting that. If he's not going out of his way to pick up the energy tank on X-Ray when he's right there.
Alright, so it's interesting. Let's see where Sloaters heads next. Imagining he's probably going to go do like this North Dark World loop. I don't think he's done any of those yet. It's Bumper Cave check.
Turning around. Oh, he's... yeah, apparently I forgot about this. Also, I didn't see... Did he check Criteria Supers before he started heading up?
He did not.
He's just not going to check them. Interesting. So the one, it's if you do it early, it's kind of nice to check. It'll kind of give you a hint of speed's going to be available. He's pretty late. This is kind of starts having the field to maybe a speedless seed. The other thing is, so Waterway is the only speed item you can't scout or break. And it combos in a little bit nicely with Criteria Supers. So you may just be thinking, if I do stumble into speed, I can just do those two together and just get them out of the way that way. So skipping the scout does make a little bit of sense. The counter argument is he's not too many items away from go. If something like Kane was there, you know, if he knows it's there, once he finds speed and then like bow, he knows just to hard rush it and he'd be done. So maybe a little risky, but I definitely understand the logic. I'm just not scouting it because it takes a good bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't checked all the other speed lock location, but like you mentioned, it might be a speedless seed, especially finding nothing of value behind speed at the early supers checks.
Yeah. Solski now going to be redoing this Meridia play. Going to have to redo his Dragon fight. So all of this is basically the time that he has lost. So we can kind of like, let's say he started hanging over here at 137. We'll see when he gets back to Aqueduct, and we can figure out what his time loss was.
Yeah, meanwhile, Sloater's heading to Catfish. And he might be doing oh, he's got the mushroom to turn in as well, which we haven't seen yet. Oh, no, he doesn't. Just getting potions for safety. Okay, that makes sense, too. You're on the way to Catfish. Unless you get a flute, this is going to be the best time you have to stop and buy potions.
Yeah, you can definitely see Slaughter's relative faith in his game's abilities. He's on Red Mill, Tempered Sword, going out of his way for 2 blue potions. Meanwhile, he's got 3 E-tanks in SM. He goes, that's fine. That's good enough.
Yeah.
What do I need any more for?
It's a good play, though, that I really like that Sloaters didn't go out of his way early to get those potions, but knows that since he can route them in, like you mentioned earlier, you're probably not going to lose by a couple seconds. Mirroring and buying those 2 potions is pretty free. So if you're going to need any safety anywhere, this is the best time to do it. Might as well just eat that, 20-30 second time loss. Get all the safeties you could possibly need.
Yeah. Actually, the one nice thing is Solski is going to be sped up a little bit here, because he does have the grapple. Misses the quick kill. Also, heads up to make sure he didn't do a screw attack when he was gooped, because that would have gotten the goop off of him, and Dragon would have went away. So I think this, with the amount of swoops Dragon had and the fact that Dragon picked him up, this fight's probably kind of in the same ballpark as the last one, time-wise. Maybe a little bit faster. Also, we'll see if he bomb jumps. I think even just doing a gravity jump would probably be a little faster than the bomb jumps out of here. Menus are really slow on SM, but they're not that bad. I guess you'd have to do it twice to try to take it off.
He's got space jump. He found space jump at Old Mother.
Oh, right. He's okay.
At, was it first missiles?
Yeah. Not going for the Wample jump though.
That actually might be a factor in Solski coming back here to Meridia instead of going to LN, is having at least something to make it even faster, having grapple and space jump. So the second trip isn't just exactly the same as the first one as far as time spent.
Yeah, but it's the amount of time he takes to get back to that point is the effective time loss. If he'd be sped up from that point onward by having more items, but like the actual time loss is about the same. So it looks like it's gonna be right around the 4-minute mark, 4.5-minute mark. Yeah, it feels about right. So
true, that makes sense. I see what you're saying.
It looks like he's not even going to be doing it.
Or possibly just taking a safety save first.
Yeah, or possibly taking the safety save first.
I guess either way he's going to want to save, so that actually makes sense. Saving to reset from the sandpit checks.
Yeah, okay, he's just taking the safety save. Yeah, absolutely cannot blame him. Probably feels like he can probably do it once and still win. Twice, maybe pushing it. Yeah, see, that's why it's so frustrating to fail that. It's just pretty straightforward to do. Just, you know, I know you've heard this before in a different scenario, a different game, but just one wrong input and you're soft locked. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, we've all been there. So. Yeah, it looks like Solski lost just around 4 minutes because of that. So, you know, definitely not a match ender, but definitely doesn't make you feel good. It makes you probably going to make you a little nervous. Oh, there is the bow.
All right, well, I guess he's resetting to check the other sandpit, which makes sense. Just to see what it is without having to loop back around for sure.
Yeah, so this is why I'm surprised Sloaters did put this off for so long. Again, his plan was mostly all SM all the time. He's had Meridia available for quite some time. Solski has managed to get into Meridia before Sloaters twice at this point, and is actually going to be to that bow first.
And that would be...
So, that's interesting. So would you keep that sword?
I personally would not. And I would do exactly what Solski's doing here and check Shack Tool first. And if Shack Tool has anything, obviously keep the sword and loop back around.
Yeah, I mean, like, so what is, he still has Cold Stare, Moth, and Trinex to fight. Those are 3 bosses that definitely Temper Sword help out, plus Ganon. But it's gonna cost what, like 2 minutes to keep it? Like it's pretty close.
Yeah. He does have silvers, right?
I'm not sure if
he doesn't.
No, it looks like he doesn't have silvers. So not having silvers, yeah, I mean that's a really tough decision whether or not you. Which I'm glad because Sloski yelled at me yesterday for getting the flute in Sandpit when I could have just lava dived again. So I'm gonna. If he keeps it, it's the wrong decision. If he resets it, it's the wrong decision. Just because I want to say whatever he did is wrong.
Yeah, I think you can make an argument for that. Obviously, depending on your skill and comfortableness of each game.
Oh, but he gets bailed out by there being something here, so he has to keep it.
Yeah. I was going to say that with my comfort in Link to the Past versus SM, I know my movement would be slower to get back, and I wouldn't do it, but...
I just want to put... So, here's another thing. The fact that Solski reset, did Brinstar, came back here, that reset is probably going to save him in the seed. That's crazy. Wow. That is... So not only is he forced to keep the sword, it doesn't have that decision to make. Oh man, that is crazy. I'm almost mad because I would like to see how this would have played out if it was the other way.
Yeah, for sure. Meanwhile, Sloaters is hot on his heels. Finished the Dragon fight, nice and easy. It's going to be headed to the same checks that Solski just did. We'll see how he does the, like, which order he checks the sand pits, and hopefully he'll check Shack Tool as well right away and get that cane.
Wow, that is that is a crazy set of circumstances. The soft lock bailout. That is a new one.
I mean, I can't say I've had it in a race like this, but I know I've had it in seeds before where I've taken a death somewhere and it's steered me in the right direction. Not quite this intense though.
I mean, yeah, if that doesn't happen, you know, I mean, Solski, he cleans this out, right? Gets his bow, probably does pod, and well, I mean, he may do pod at that point, right? Looking for the cane. Like, he'll do Brinstar, find that grapple. When would he come back here? Like, dead last, right?
Yeah, I would think it'd be... It would almost have to be.
Yeah.
Knowing where the grapple beam was when he finally did stumble on that.
Yeah. So we were saying it was 4-minute time loss. It's gonna end up being like a 30-minute time save. Because this is gonna prevent him from just hard last locationing that. What a luck sack.
And going forward, this is just one item out of Gomo too. Unless I'm missing something, all we're in need of is the mitts.
The funny thing is, you know, I would have the same question for Sloaters about that sword. With gold sword normally for most experienced in like the past runners, you'd be like, it's not worth it. I'll just reset it. I would have been interested to see what Sloaters' decision was, whether or not he kept the gold sword. I would kind of lean to that he would have kept it. You know, just again relying on his SM ability to being able to get around there fast enough. It'd be hard to say how much time save it would save for him because gold sword optimal versus optimal is only a couple seconds on Trinex really. But if you're not capable of doing all the optimal stuff, it's just how much time it personally saves for you. So would it might save enough time that would have been worth a while for him to go around.
Yeah, especially with the bosses that were left with Cold Stare too. That's the other big one that, especially if you're not experienced with the fight, that can save a whole lot of time. Only needing 3 slashes instead of 6.
Well, I mean, 3 versus 6, or depending on how uncomfortable you are, 3 minutes because you don't die.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 slashes versus 6 on each of the 3 puffs, and if they get out of control, that's 9 slashes instead of 18. Or sorry, not. That's not. Yeah, that's
9.
right. That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Oh, there's the speed booster too.
Okay.
So it turned out, yeah, Dragon was in logic pretty much the entire time because you could just come here, got speed, and then go straight to Dragon. That's a pretty mean spot for that, to be honest. Nice mock ball through that door right there by Solski. And doing the lag reduction strat, and then landing. Oh, well, okay, I complimented him a little too much. It warms my heart to see Solski do a little frame lag saver there. Solski's definitely more of a random player than a speedrunner. So I always give him guff for not doing all the little frame savers. So it's nice to see him do one. Now he's never going to do it again because he knows it'll annoy me.
All right, so let's see where Solski heads next with the cane and the bow. It really gives him two big options. It seems like because he can go to lower Norfair and then pop out to do Meyer with the cane.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. Like you have, well, he's got the flute, so he doesn't have to really worry about having it to be like a double lava dive dip. But like especially like if you didn't have the flute, right? If you have 3 medallions and you have the cane of Samaria, you can just go ahead and do it because you know you can full clear Meyer no matter what happens in Meyer, no matter what the medallion is. So having done none of Norfair, it makes sense to do that. Potentially, if mitts are in lower Norfair, which is definitely possible at this point, like that'd be a little bit of a feels bad for Sloaters because you know he was wanting to do that early, and probably just got a little gun shy with his ammo count.
Yeah, absolutely. Solski does have the speed booster here, though, so it does give him the option to do Crocomire first a little bit more quickly than if he didn't have speed booster and had to come through Bubble Mountain the long way.
I'd be surprised if he did Croc. I think he could just be doing lower route to lower Norfair here. Like I said, Crocomire is always going to supers. I guess he is. I'm surprised. This can be routed in easily enough at the end of lower Norfair. Like I said, this is kind of like the pendant dungeon of Super Metroid. So a little surprising. We know nothing's here. Not really gonna get any sort of payoff.
Yeah, and I missed what happened to Sloaters that he got so low on health, but did a Crystal Flash just to make it nice and safe.
Yeah, having to do that one Crystal Flash is already pretty much ate into all of his time saved from not picking up that one E-Tank. Also interesting that Sloaters came down and around instead of going through the green gate glitch. Doesn't have a lot of supers. No matter how good you are, it's just a one-frame trick. Can be a little hard to get. So it just might be the discretion is the better part of Valor there. We'll see if he gets the vanilla crab supers too. He's still only on 30. Doesn't really have a different way of killing Ridley at this point. But I wouldn't be too surprised if he skips those, to be honest.
Well, more importantly than Ridley, doesn't really have Way to kill Mother Brain yet.
That is true. that is undeniably true. Well, at least beginning these.
All right, so with Solski finishing up here in the Crocomire loop, I would imagine, like you said, Duck, I bet he's going to go to Lower Norfair. That would make the most sense, I think. But there's still some density with Bubble Mountain and those other Upper Norfair checks.
Yeah, I just think, you know, you have to do Lower Norfair no matter what. Lower Norfair spits you out into Upper Norfair. The only thing that would, like, sometimes you'll do Upper Norfair first. You're looking for something to help you in Lower Norfair. He's got space. He's got screw. He doesn't have charge, but he's got 1 billion supers. You might have to farm up a little bit. I just think, because especially being one item from Go mode, like if you're 4 or 5, where you're unlikely to get everything in Lower Norfair, sure, you can do Upper Norfair first because you're gonna have to do both pretty much no matter what. But here, where you're just one, like, I don't know. I don't think it would make any sense to do Upper first. You have to do Lower to kill Ridley. Pretty much every item in Lower Norfair is more or less on the way. Mickey Mouse missiles is kind of the only one you have to take really a detour for. Even the longest one to get, the little like prison power bombs, you can just scout those real quick.
Yeah. And I would imagine that's where he's headed, especially using all these missiles. I would assume he's setting up for GT kill.
Yeah, except here, so, you know, I just said go to Lower Norfair. He's got the flute already. I actually would not kill GT here first. You can come back and do it with the flute, you know, whenever you want. He doesn't have charge, so if he goes ahead and uses all of his supers on GT, he's gonna have to farm those back up. So I mean, it looks pretty obvious he's definitely doing it again because he's sending those missiles. But I don't agree with him doing it here.
Well, he doesn't have mitts, so he can't get back that easily unless he finds those.
Oh yeah, good point. And mitts are his go mode.
Yeah.
Never mind. I take back what I said. This makes perfect sense.
He still had the option to go to like the Mire area first. I don't believe he scouted out the Mire shed, checkerboard cave. He could have done that first, but this is also a valid option.
Yeah, I think this is if you're gonna fight GT and have space, I think just come here is fine. You skip the green gate glitch, which is annoying, and all that kind of stuff, and you know it uses the super missiles that you want for the fight.
Right.
And we'll see if Sloaters follows him down here.
Yeah, I imagine he will. This could be a nice bit of sync if Sloaters is able to basically catch up on this route and or follow shortly behind and see how close together they can be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a non-zero chance Sloaters passes Solski down here. Oh, nope, just gonna go back to A Link to the Past.
Yeah, he does have a lot more in Link to the Past available that he didn't check. Of course, he didn't do Pendant Tower of Hera. He's got some more overworld checks, I believe. He's got some of those fetch quests to turn in, like the shovel. He hasn't taken advantage of it yet.
Yeah, so the worst case scenario for Sloaters is those mitts being in Mire. So we are pretty close here. After all that, they pretty much have the same items. Sloaters is up one crystal, but it's gonna be a pretty quick one for Solski, just going into Moth to kill Moth. It's just whoever finds the mitts first is gonna come out ahead on this one. It looks like it's really that close. Sloaters, I think, forgetting he doesn't actually have the mitts. I think so. Okay, that explains why he didn't go straight to Ridley. He's gonna regret that, I think. Yeah, looks like he's gonna be making the pod Eastern play though. This could be really big if it is here. This is definitely huge.
Yeah, definitely. Pendant Pod is obviously there's a lot of items in the dungeon, but there's also a lot of keys. So it's I know for me personally, it's a hard one to route in sometimes with a big time investment to get that payout of items at the back.
Yeah, chat pointing out, Sloaters still hasn't done the burn loop at this point. Gonna need to do it to at least get his ice rod. Where was it in the burn loop? Was it wave gate or?
Is it Spore Spawn, I believe?
Oh, Spore Spawn. Okay, yeah. So pretty deep. It's not like he can just go in there and bail. If that is his go mode, he finds mitts for like if mitts are here. I'd be able to like just kind of bail out and kind of go to the Creed to get the Creed and then Norfair. And at that point, you can just go ahead and do Norfair at that point. So yeah, depending on who you're rooting for, if you're rooting for Sloaters, you're gonna want to root for the mitts being in pod. Probably the deeper the better. And if you're rooting for Solski, you want them to be hiding out here in Mire. If they're in Mire, this is definitely a GG, I believe, for Solski at that point.
Yeah, the only issue with Sloaters finding those mitts early is that gives him a lot more link to the past checks, including some pretty dense locations like East Dark Death Mountain that'll potentially pull him away from Brinstar for even longer to get the Ice Rod.
Yeah, I think the situation is if mitts are in Mire, it's probably a win for Solski. If mitts are in here, it really depends on what Sloaters decides to do. It's a little surprised he hasn't done Brinstar at this point. But it's definitely got to be something on his mind. At this point, he may be considering trying to skip it. So yeah, I'm almost surprised that he's not doing it now. Some of Slaughter's decisions have been, I mean, both of them, honestly, just with Solski really avoiding SM as early as possible, having both Dark World and Morph access at the same time. The fact that he did so much A Link to the Past before coming to SM. And then Sloaters, again, looks like he's getting off his gameplay a little bit of just do as much SM as possible, because Bryn Loop is still just available. It just has not been done. So, Mit's not in Mire. Still could be... If they were in lower Norfair, I'm going to feel real bad for Sloaters, because basically he got a little too aggressive going there a little too soon. Not able to kill Ridley on his trip there, but honestly, that's looking... If they are, they could be back a pod here, but if they're not here, I'm gonna say they're gonna be in lower Norfair.
Yeah, even though we've seen both items, looks like Solski is going back to get the green pendant too, which is definitely a understandable decision. A good defensive play. You've already put in the time to come here, and one item on a go mode. If this is the one, you're in really good shape.
Well, if nothing else, a nice safety item for Sloaters with that bug net.
think his bottles are all full of blue potions, though, so we won't be able to use it yet.
Well, depends on how many blue potions he turns through. Well,
there's the real safety item. The gate, actually.
This is certainly helping Sloaters out. I think he's glad he came here, whether or not Mitts end up being here or not. Sloaters now getting safeties for the wrong game.
Yeah, you had a reserve in here too. I'm sure he'll need that.
Hey, he did have the Crystal Flash. If you gave him the prop bet with will Sloaters Crystal Flash the seed, and not Hell Run, I would have taken that bet. And here we are. So, was there an item on Armos?
I don't remember. We can check his dungeon items when he menus to the bow at some point and see what he's still missing.
Come on, Sloaters menu.
See, I think this, exactly what you said, Duck, is what I think every time I come back to Eastern after I've cleared the front. Was there an item on Armos? And I menu immediately to bow to make sure.
Yeah. I still play with a location tracker for that kind of stuff. It's more of a memory aid for me at this point. But yeah, I did one of these at GDQ without a tracker, and I got so incredibly lost, and we just gave up. Okay, did you see? I wasn't looking.
Oh no, I looked over at Solski's screen.
I think there is an item. I saw the compass as it was closing. I don't think I saw the map though. So we could have an item here.
Yeah, our tracker points out that Armos is going to be the map. So.
Oh, okay.
We don't have an item.
I wonder if, and I also wasn't counting in pod. I wonder if Sloaters was too, because he didn't kill Helma.
The compass was still in there. I think. Pretty sure the compass was on Helmasaur.
Okay, so yeah, with it being a pendant, we know.
Helma was map.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even. I didn't even realize this until because I was looking at pendants for what the green pendant was. Myra's a green pendant, so it doesn't even have to be done. So Sloaters will just be able to avoid that. It looks like.
Oh yeah.
Very nice double Kago from Solski, not getting into Kago prison. That's actually really tough to do. So shout outs to him. Someone told me how much these little shine echoes do, and it's some ridiculous number. It's like 120,000 damage or something.
Well, even though there wasn't an item in Eastern Palace, that was still required. That was a crystal. Unfortunately, Sloaters is aware that even though it's a red crystal, Pyramid Fairy is going to be empty, since that can't have the two items that he's missing. Can't have the mitts, can't have the ice rod, since Turtle Rock is the other red crystal. Unfortunate Dead Rock incident.
So where besides Lower Norfair, where could those mitts possibly be at this point?
We've got a handful of fetch quests still. Green Pendant turn in, we've got Mushroom. We haven't seen the shovel checked yet. I know those are all out there available.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what Sloaters' best bet would be. I guess potentially the shovel, since Solski has avoided that, although he'll do that sooner than later. Like, if you're Sloaters, you want Solski to clear pod, right? At this point. So Like he's gonna do shovel before pod. I don't know. I don't see where it could be where Solski would do pod.
Yeah, and I would
He's
think
got
that
those.
Solski. I think he would turn in his mushroom before doing shovel, even because he's. Well, I guess if he goes to activate his flute, which he doesn't necessarily need to do. I don't believe he's activated it yet. That'll make a quick trip to the mushroom turn in. Yeah, I guess Mitts being speed booster locked, like in the waterway, might be the best case for Sloaters.
Yeah, no,
then he could pick it up on the way to getting his ice rod.
Yeah, that's true, and
he could avoid those
made. Yeah, like those aren't too long to do, but that's a location that Solski may decide to do pod first on, especially having to go over there for Easton no matter what. Oh, Sloaters not having God, just seeing Sloaters do that room is just ridiculous. It was really well done. But yeah, he never got his space jump, so he's got to do the it wasn't. I guess he just did the any percent trap, even though he's got screw attack.
He doesn't have space jump though.
Yeah, I just said that. So, looking like Mitts not in lower Norfair, so Sloaters still in this match.
Yeah, and Solski doing the obvious play to finish up the rest of Upper Norfair, which Sloaters already did earlier. Since he's right here, this definitely makes a lot of sense.
Sloaters farming up just a little bit before this Ridley fight. Doesn't have charge, needs those 30 supers. Having a pretty efficient farm though, just doing just enough to have exactly 30 for Ridley. And if it does miss one, which just does happen sometimes. He's got plenty of missiles to finish the fight off if needed. Nope, like that, just eat it one right into the sky. Wow, really very nice fight. That grab into the claws at the end too is really difficult. And it's like not only that, but missing 2 supers, counting exactly 12 missiles into Ridley, and then knowing Ridley's dead right there. Very, very well done. Chat asking where charge is. So this is V31. Ridley is in logic with just ammo, so it is possible for charge to be in GT, which feels kind of likely at this point. I wouldn't be surprised for charge and ice to be in GT.
Yeah, just about every other location left is behind Mitts. Either Dark Death Mountain or Ice Palace. One of those have charge as well. But yeah, GT is for sure likely candidate. We're gonna see.
Wow, Sloaters missing the speedball. So I mean, just like again, this is the 1 versus 4 matchup we were saying early on. Like Sloater's probably the 1-4 seed you don't want to pull, and we are 2 hours and 13 minutes into the seed, and this seed is not decided. It really just depends on who runs into those mids first. If Sloaters gets it, Solski does have the length of the pass advantage, so we could see Solski pass Sloaters kind of like in the end game in go mode at that point. If Solski gets to it first, there's really not a lot of SM left for Sloaters to save time in. Like Sloaters is probably gonna have like 30 to 40 second faster Turian than Solski. That's really not a lot of time. And if it wasn't for that soft lock on it, like, Solski would be looking for mitts and for Samaria, and it'd be, his go mode wouldn't be mitts. He could very well have also cleared a bunch of mitts locations. Go mode in mitts is nice because it really locks off a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this makes sense for Solski to clean up these fetch quests. So probably activate his flute and go turn in the last one, being the mushroom. Nice powder to the right instead of on the...
It's a little Solski meme for you there.
Can't say I've ever thought to do that.
Because there's no point to do it.
It's like
Solski's smart enough to realize you can turn and powder in the wrong direction, but doesn't realize you can also powder from like a whole half tile further out and just be faster. The memes are more important than the frames to Solski. Waterway is not checked. I think the rooting for it, if you're rooting for it, yeah, you want to root for it there if you're a Sloaters fan.
Yeah, and to answer about Hera Basement, Solski did go back in for Hera Basement. I don't remember what it was, but don't
wasn't
believe it was anything of value. Yeah.
At this point, we can safely say it was nothing of value. There's literally the only valuable things you're looking for is charge ice and mitts. And he don't have any of those things, so no, it's not valuable.
Forgetting he doesn't have the mitts. Trying to lift that rock, that is an easy one to do. That's an easy mistake to make for sure.
Yeah, especially so late. Like, you've been playing this game for 2 hours and 16 minutes now. It's like, all right, I don't have that really important item.
Yeah, and you're trying to beeline as fast as you can to this Crystal Skull Woods, and that's normally the fastest way there if you have those mitts. But he'll make quick work of the dungeon.
Yeah, I think there was one item back here, right?
There wasn't. I thought there was on.
Oh, there wasn't.
First trip, but there wasn't. There were 2 items in the front.
Little interesting. Well, I guess he was already in this area. So, although with the flute, you're effectively always in this area. So, but this can also be. This is one of those plays where it's like if you have a dungeon like this to knock off, you're like, oh, I just got to go kill Moth. You're kind of in the area. It gives you a couple minutes to think. Turns out thinking is important in this as well. So you're not really sure what you want to do next. You're like, let me just go kill Moth. It's going to give me... It's just pretty much straight execution I've done 1,000 times before. And while I'm doing that, I can kind of plan out how I'm going to approach the rest of this seed. So again, if you're rooting for Sloaters or just the closeness of the race, you want to will Solski to pod because there's nothing in pod. Okay, Sloaters. What the? Apparently setting up some sort of hookshot timing to precisely get bodied by the spark. Yeah, Sloaters actually has not done Brinstar Loop, so we do have Waterway, and Solski skipped the Scout on Shaft Supers. And so if it's Shaft Supers, that's pretty funny, because Solski did turn down the Scout. And I was saying before, you know, if you scout it and it is something valuable, once you get the speed, if that's your go mode, you know you can just beeline that thing. So I don't with where speed was and the fact that we still have those 2 speed lock locations. I'm thinking Waterway or Shaft Supers is fairly likely.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big opportunity for it. We just still have the Ether tablet.
No, we don't. Sloaters just checked it. It was
or sorry,
green,
Bombo's tablet.
Green rupee. Oh, yeah. I guess do we? I thought someone checked it.
I don't believe we've seen it, but we get Spring Ball. That probably won't be helpful, but usually sometimes is.
At this point, it's yeah. I mean, SM is done. Solski has in SM. Solski just has the 2 items left that we were talking about. Sloaters has all of Bryn Loop still to do, except for the stuff he pre-cleared. He did retro early on, and then he dipped a little more with screw attack. That's the other reason I really hate the screw attack opening. Is like if it doesn't pay off with like the morph ball, what leads to morph ball? Sloaters ended up doing a good chunk of it, which reduces the overall value of Bryn Loop. So it makes you more likely to put it off, which seems to be what Sloaters is doing. God, I really expect him to be going there pretty soon. Looks like he's. Oh, he's gonna do Spike Cave here. This makes sense.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about this one.
Yeah, this is a good check. I think still maybe a. Well, I don't know. When does Solski ever come back up here? Honestly, I think maybe he goes to Bryn for those 2 locations before he comes up here. Solski is making the pod play though. So if Mitts are here, this is really, really big. I mean, Sloaters still has to make the decision for Bryn Loop for that Ice Rod. All right, let's see the hard reset, buddy. Yeah. No. Come on. Reset your game.
This is probably the shovel turn in from Sloaters. He's right here.
No.
Maybe the Bombo's tablet.
Maybe Bombos, yeah. Look, I psychically manipulate Solski to come to pod. Apparently my psychic connection to Sloaters is not quite as strong, unfortunately.
It's the team bonding that you and Solski have been doing.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't think there's a team in Random League that has done less bonding than us. It's just arguments and team meetings about petty stuff. Let me tell you about the 4 frames you throw away in chess game. and then I'm told stuff that I cannot repeat on SpeedGaming. Yeah, I'm almost positive Solski checked Bombos. I don't know. Those super missiles feel awfully familiar to me. So just set your game. Do it. Yeah, I mean we're really out of locations for it to be. Oh, he's doing shovel, I guess.
And K45. He hasn't done K45 either.
Oh, okay, that's why I was like, you might as well have just stayed in Light World then. But yeah, just K45. Solski had mirror early, so he was able to check this off. This does make sense from Sloater's perspective. He's got to do all of Bryn Loop. So, if it's here, but it's like both. Well, I guess if Mitts were here, right, you could potentially do the Mitts checks to finish it off. Thinking Ice Rod might be there. We're not gonna be, since Mitts are a go mode. Sloaters doesn't quite know that yet, but we're not gonna be able to. This isn't gonna get swung by like a half turtle rock dip or anything like that. Sloaters, do you just not? Do you just not remember like that Bryn Loop is a thing? because he went there twice already?
That's definitely a possibility. I mean, that certainly happens. I know I've been through that with.
That's
when you've already halfway through
okay.
something with it.
Here we go. All right. So yeah, these things have gotta pretty much be here. So Solski still has Spike Cave and let's see. That might be it.
He can finish off Eastern.
Where are you going?
While he's here.
Oh.
Solski's going to finish off Eastern while he's here, but he knows there's no item in there. Unless he miscounted.
Oh, have you actually seen this before either?
I believe Solski came up here early. 90% sure Solski saw that.
Now the little advantage that Solski has is Sloaters will have to do the full loop. You know, he's gonna get the ice rod, still not gonna be in go mode. Well, then I guess if we're thinking,
if it's in waterway,
I guess
you might get it immediately after. Yeah.
Yeah, waterway is slightly better because it'll save a couple extra checks. If it's shaft supers, pretty much is going to do the whole thing. Although shaft supers is definitely the comedy option again because Solski declined the scout. So if you're a fan of the laughs, you're specifically rooting for shaft supers.
That's interesting that Sloaters picked up the 300 rupees there, since he neglected to pick up the rupees in K45. There was a 300. Yeah, it's still up in the air. This is very impressive. We're 2.5 hours in almost. And it's going to come down to... well, still just where those mitts are.
Sloaters turning down more energy tanks. So I think what's interesting with Solski turning down the scout of shaft supers, I feel like if you're gonna decline the scout and you're gonna leave both waterway and that location, I feel like you're pricing yourself into checking that pretty much the first good time you have after you get speed, because this is what can happen. Although if it ends up being waterway, there's nothing he could do, and then if he did scout it, it would have isolated waterway even more.
Or well, true.
It's just, I don't know, it's oh, looks like wow, so Solski may be the first one to these mitts. Are we going to get simultaneous mitts picks up here?
This could be
probably
great.
not. Sloaters is still going to be doing some of the. He's going to do Mission Impossible, all that stuff first. So unlikely. I never thought to do that speedball there to carry your speed a little bit further. Solski was going to feel bad about last location in mitts, but he felt even worse about last location in Shacktool if he didn't soft lock. Oh, Sloaters got Mission Impossible. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it was great.
Very nice. Yeah, very nicely done.
That's not an easy trick.
we are going to be very close to simultaneous mids pickups because I can't think of a single other location it could possibly be.
Yeah, either we missed something or it's.
Oh right, he's going to do. Sloater's got to do Spispo. He's going to get his
He's
ice
gonna
rod.
get his ice first.
All right, so here's the moment of truth. Yep. So let's see. At this point, so Solski's got Ice Palace Turtle Rock. Sloaters also has Ice Palace Turtle Rock and GT. At this point, this is still Solski's game to lose. Solski definitely, as you can tell, has the execution advantage and a Link to the Past. All that's really left is Turian. Solski is certainly no slouch in SM. Can do baby skip and all that fun stuff. So there's not enough SM runway left for Sloaters to take this one, I think. But yeah, so 2 hours 29 minutes. Slightly less for Solski. These guys are both in go mode. But despite it being so close just on the screen, Solski definitely has the advantage here.
Yeah, I definitely would not have guessed coming into this race that they'd be getting go mode less than a minute apart.
Yeah.
So
the way this seed played out, I think it definitely kind of is how like Sloaters would draw it up to give him a shot at beating someone like Solski. Given their relative advantages. It just, Sloaters just kind of put off that this Brent play, I think, for a little bit too long. I think if Sloaters was able to avoid like the pod play, he could have avoided the Hera play. Sloaters would have a nice advantage right here. So unfortunate for him, I think he just let his game plan get too far away from his game plan, which is, his game plan just would have been all SM all the time.
So it's interesting, Doug. Can you maybe explain why? I'm sure it's the right thing to do, and I'm just not aware of it. But why both runners are passing up on going to Turian immediately here?
So the thing with Turian immediately right here is what you want to do is, so it's a little bit faster to do Mother Brain first. You don't get the escape sequence starting, so you don't have all the timer lag. You also don't have to go all the way to the ship. But the thing is, as long as there's nothing still available that will speed up Turian for you, you might want to put it off and hopefully you can snag it in GT. So they're still missing charge, they're still missing ice. Ice probably a little bit less of a big deal for Sloaters because he would, probably be able to one-shot the speed Zeb. Not that Solski couldn't, but like Sloaters is probably like 99% to one-shot it. Solski's probably only like 90% to one-shot it. But there was a significant also routing advantage there with coming up through Brinstar like that, so you didn't have to reset and come back down. So it was actually pretty close on whether they did it right there or not. I don't think this is necessarily a situation where 100% you would skip it. They have enough stuff to do baby skip. So it's a close call. I can defend either way, honestly. I think Sloaters more than Solski maybe should have, but I didn't see Sloaters' exact ammo count. It's possible they just straight up do not have enough ammo.
Yeah, Sloaters had no supers, so that's
he would have to go all the way back up
anyway. And
yeah, even if his max is enough, if he's not carrying enough in, it's just you can't do it because he doesn't have that charge beam. Yeah. Sloaters not doing the icebreaker that Solski was pulled off very nicely. Did Solski hit the switch?
I don't know if he did.
Uh-oh. No, he did. Okay.
I missed it. I wasn't sure. I know he picked up those pots as if he was going to open the chest. I think maybe looking for small key.
Yeah, so if you're...
not gambling.
Icebreakers opens up some interesting routing stuff. Like if you're going to full clear it, you really don't have to open that chest because you're just going to get the big key and you can go straight down. You can grab another key pretty easily. But it's pretty easy to forget. Me and Hayes play another category where you don't have to hit the switch because, or you hit the switch naturally because you do a bomb clip to the top. So guys like us will tend to forget it. Be like, oh yeah. Sloaters doing a nice job on that first try. Ice Palace bomb jump. Just don't see the IPBJ anymore. It's a little sad. It used to be like the defining a Link to the Past trick, and now it's like half the time you just don't even see it. Like, no, Sloaters having a pretty good pen gator run too. Like, almost had the strat, the right strat, and then just missed the last one, but cleaned up nicely with that hook shot.
Yeah, I know it's been mentioned before, obviously, that we mentioned that Sloaters is clearly SM first player, but his execution has been solid through Link to the Past as well. He's had some that have gotten away from him, and he's certainly taken a lot more damage in a lot of places, but
he
hasn't lost a ton of time. He's been doing well.
I always enjoy watching people who are like just insanely good at one video game play another video game that they're not so good at, because like you can still you can just see like how much like talent they have and just like raw skill. Like Soder's doing a pretty nice job in A Link to the Past. Solski is just, is just the better player overall in A Link to the Past. So it's going to be really hard for Sloaters to catch up here, barring any sort of major disaster for Solski. But Solski, there's no way Solski feels confident about this. I mean, he had the soft lock, granted that actually ended up saving him, but at the end of the day, it still was a time loss. He ended up last locationing those mids. Sloaters effectively did as well, though. But yeah, you can see like both these guys pretty much have full clear both games, and they are with, this climb is about a minute, a little over a minute, and Sloaters will be coming out of Ice Palace right here, so they are super close to each other. I think Sloaters is probably going to be kicking himself for dropping this one in the end, because I think there was a path for him to take this one. Not only that, just getting a little unlucky that Solski had the life-saving soft lock.
Well, there's that ice beam. That's convenient to have.
Yeah, they're about a minute apart here. Like, I could see Sloaters making up that time in Turian over Solski. That's definitely possible. The problem is that we still have the GT climb and the Ganon fight. Grant's Gold Sword Silvers, so probably Solski's not going to be able to have too much time in that fight. But I expect in GT, Solski will be able to put up another, probably 30 to 40 seconds, honestly. And it's probably going to be just a little bit too much for Sloaters to overcome in Turian.
Yeah, there's always still the factor of the GT big key as well. Could hurt.
That's true. If we see if we see a big divergence in GT and what route they take, that honestly might make it close enough that if Sloaters can get that key first and then out execute Solski in Turian a little bit, that may be enough. So I mean, this really isn't over yet.
Yeah, I'm guessing the big key might be something that I actually don't know what Solski's usual route is, or if he has a standard GT clear, but he might play it a certain way to mitigate the time loss, say the Dark Magician route.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of having your standard. That way you don't have to worry about it. Which is why I like the Dark Magician or the Boyne or whatever the heck you want to call it. Because you can always do it. It doesn't matter what the key laid out is. You can always do it 100% of the time. So have a standard, and then maybe have an anti-meta one if you feel like you're behind. There's obviously the tile room gamble, or if you are playing Boyne specifically, right? I mean, not in this, but in just the regular Dash Randomizer. You think you can counterplay him, do the opposite route of him, and hope that pays off. But I'm a fan of just having your standard. Don't worry about it. It's really easy to cosmic brain yourself a little bit. It's like, oh, I'm so far behind. I need a Hail Mary here. Just have a route and just do it. You know, the key is random, like literally everything else in this game in Randomizer. So just there's no pick a route. There's pros and cons to all of them. Just pick one you like, the one that think gives you a good advantage, and stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. Solski here, playing the odds, making the smart play, but might lose a little bit of time
Oh,
by skipping the big chest and the vanilla big key chest.
wait, did Solski? No, Solski must have gotten that.
He stole the key, but he didn't open. Okay.
No. Sloater's got Ice Beam in the left chest, but you would never skip that because it could be a key.
No, he grabbed that one.
Okay.
He got that.
Oh, okay.
But before I was able to finish, Solski proved me wrong by getting the odds of whatever 95% chance of not having the two small keys and the vanilla big key and the big key and the big chest. That could have hurt him, but chances were it wasn't going to, and it didn't. And so really the only safety, or not so much safety, but convenience item, quality of life left is Charge Beam.
Yeah, so this is, I mentioned this before. One of the things that the high skill Link to the Past players have got to get used to is you're not going to get free bottles to bail you out. Solski down to 3 hearts here. Probably will choose to go to, yeah, he chooses to go to 4 here. Does have red, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got red, yeah, red mail. But you know, it doesn't take a lot of mistakes for this fight to kill you. And then because of, he's going to go all the way to the back of the dungeon. But it does have gold, so it looks like he's cleaning it up nicely. Even if he gets bodied by Trinex here on phase 2, it's going to be able to survive it. Or I've horribly cursed him.
He makes it through.
Yeah, Sloaters in SM just made worst room in the game look incredibly easy. However, in A Link to the Past, worst room in the game, showing off why this is one of the leading contenders for that title.
Yeah, and I think that was his last potion, if I'm not wrong. He might have one more. But I know he used one in Ice Palace to survive the Cold Stare fight. So if he's out of potions, that might either just slow him down by taking extra safeties in Ganon's Tower. He does have the magic powder to be able to pick up a couple fairies. But it could make it a little dangerous.
Yeah, but you're kind of seeing what we were saying here with Solski having the the Link to the Past execution advantage here. Sloaters having a little trouble in these rooms. So Solski's, you know, he was only about like 30-ish seconds getting to those mitts, and we've really now opened it up to probably closer to about 2 minutes of time difference. It looks like Solski's choosing to go full right, so we do have the potential of Sloaters doing a full left and it being over there, making up some time there. And then, of course, we do expect Sloaters to probably have a little bit better Returnian, but it's going to be hard to save too much time in that. You know, Solski can do baby skip and do all that stuff. We have Ice Beam, so that's going to be pretty straightforward as well. Not have to do any like PB strats for the Metroids. Okay, so it does look like we're going to have a left side key or potentially an Ice Armos key.
Unless it's tile room and he puts it off till last. That would be best case for Sloaters if he decides to gamble on that. Which wouldn't be necessarily unreasonable.
Yeah, like I was saying before, you know, you can have the gamble play. I mean, Sloaters full cleared the seed. He's probably thinking that against Solski, you know, might need to make that Hail Mary. Unfortunately, it's pretty early on left side. Solski opening his chest, looking for charge at this point. Only thing he could really hope for. It's one of the things in the combo is that if you don't pay attention to what your ammo was right before coming into A Link to the Past, you may forget. It's like, do I have enough ammo?
Definitely no shame in taking the safety door here in Turtle Rock for Sloaters. I suspect he'll get a ferry. Yep. Grab a ferry just in case, but safety door doesn't take that long here, as opposed to going back through the entire dungeon.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is close enough that these seconds are making a difference.
Free ferry from the pokey. It's nice.
I think if you're on Team Sloaters, at this point, you're rooting for Solski to find charge, to make him want to do stand-up, and then get a soft lock. Not something we're actively rooting for. I'm just saying if you are in the Sloaters camp, that's kind of what we're coming down to at this point for Sloaters to take the upset.
Solski goes through the gauntlet with no trouble, taking a little bit of damage, but not too bad. He's still got plenty of health to get through the rest of this. Probably not concerned. Sloater's doing a good job cleaning up Trinex without too much trouble as well.
Yeah, Solski also has powder at the top of GT. Probably going to use that to top himself off. That only takes a couple seconds, and you know you don't like. Solski wouldn't be scared of the Ganon fight here, but it's, you know, discretion is the better part of Valor here, I think.
Yeah, Solski does have a blue potion though, so he might just skip the ferry, and then if he needs to, pop the blue potion. So he's pretty safe either way, I think.
Yeah, especially with Gold Sword, Silver Arrows. Like, there's not too much that can go wrong. Yeah, Red Mail. You know, you're. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's like if the way this gets upset is it's a SM heavy seed, which there was a lot of stuff in SM, not terribly all that much important in A Link to the Past. And you want as many safeties as possible for Sloaters, and that's what the seed gave them. It just, unfortunately, again, I think Sloaters had the game plan to do as much SM as possible, and he just kind of shied away from that at some point, putting off Bryn loop for a little too long. So definitely something we'll be asking him in the interview right after.
Yeah, for sure. That's our last chest. We're gonna open, at least on Solski's side, for sure. And no charge beam, unfortunately.
Yeah, charge beam's got to be deeper in left side GT. Because did we see literally everything else?
Well, it could be anywhere else on Dark Death Mountain. We didn't check any of the Super Bunny or.
Oh yeah, that's true. With late mids.
Cave.
Yeah, Go Mode mids. There's a lot Cave, still available.
A couple of Nice Palace. Nice triple on Aga here from Solski. Is that a 2-3-1? Should be happy with that.
You don't see this very often. It's players going down to the actually going down to the second mimic. Definitely one of the harder rooms in a Link to the Past. So, Sloaters again doesn't play a Link to the Past too much, so he isn't aware of some of the strats. Like, don't move out of that door before you dash, so you can get the key dash.
Yeah, in this room, the spike pit here is one of my least favorite rooms in the game. Even with like the right strats, it's so easy not to make it through and just take a hit or two from the spikes.
It is such a difficult room to learn because the way you get through there is you have very optimal movement through the entire first half of the room, and that just sets you up on the correct timing to get the dash. So when you're learning it, there's so many moving parts in that room with like, did you grab the pot fast enough? Did you throw it fast enough? All that kind of stuff. It's really hard to like debug, like, because you keep not getting it. It's like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Especially because you can't see yourself for the dash, so it's hard to see like how well you did it up top. So it's really, really tough room to learn.
And even better, if you learn it a slow way and you start to get faster and you get too fast for your slow setup, you have to relearn it.
Yeah, I love that. There's all sorts of stuff like that where like you'll be getting through a room or a screen just fine, and it's like, oh, I got the screen down, and then you start getting faster, and then all of a sudden this other bad thing starts happening to you, and then like you go to Discord, it's like, this thing keeps happening. It's like, oh yeah, you're going too fast now. You either have to go even faster, or you got to slow down on purpose, and it's just like, what the hell? Oh no, Slaughter. Oh, but
he does
does
fairies.
He does have the fairy.
Two fairies.
Oof. Okay.
He got 2 in Turtle Rock, so he's all right. Just a little bit of a time waste. Good heads-up play not to go back for that heart. Sometimes they're tempting, but usually not worth the risk.
Yeah, we got a saying in Link to the Past that never go for health because you'll end up with less. I don't think there's any place more true for that than here in GT.
Meanwhile, Solski going through Torian here. He's got 65 missiles or supers, which is plenty. Shouldn't have to worry about picking up every drop or anything like that from these Metroids to stay topped off. I don't remember exactly what Sloater's super missile count was at. It's got to be.
I saw 50. Yes. Oh yeah, he's cleared the whole damn game. He'll probably also open that validation chest as well. So there was 5 in there. I know at some point I definitely peeped and I saw he had 50. With all of his missiles, he should definitely be fine.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious if it's going to add any time to his mother brain fight by chance.
Oh, Sloaters! No, don't go. I don't know if he went back down on purpose to reset the room, or he just kind of walked down there. But...
It looked intentional. He definitely did a really good job the second time, doing it more optimally. Skipping chests, though, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is weird. It's, the calculus is kind of the same for Link to the Past, where you trying to get a sword or silvers or something. Like each chest may give you like 40 seconds or something. That really the big time advantage here is just the ability to do stand up, which I think is like 20 seconds or something, somewhere in that ballpark, maybe a little less. So at this point, there's nothing that Sloaters can get that will help him in a Link to the Past. I think there might be a bottle out there, but again, they don't start with anything anymore, so there's no point in picking them up. And then, of course, he's more than comfortable in SM with what he has, so may just decide to not be picking up anything. Although that means he's going to miss these 5 supers at the end here.
Well, as you said, that he picked up the power bombs that were in the pre-Moldorm 2 chest. Also, didn't realize if the bomb exploded to break that breakable on Sloater's side, and he revived with the fairy at the same time, and it didn't actually break the wall. I didn't know that's how that worked. Yeah, and Solski did have a nice baby skip. Even though we know he's able to do that, certainly capable, does it pretty much every time. It can go wrong. Waste a handful of seconds, but he does a nice job.
Yeah, I'm watching Sloaters and having a little chuckle over here. Oh, I'm not sure why he checked that chest, but he didn't do the Helma chest.
Yeah, it's just that one, just the one in the Helmer. Maybe he didn't want to deal with the Helmasaur.
Yeah, I was about to say he just didn't want to deal with the Helmasaurs. Actually, having a really good, a really nice Hellboy there.
He was really low on hearts, and I think he wanted to save his last 1.5 hearts and not have to use that fairy. But
oh yeah, that's possible. Those Helmas can be pretty mean. You got the, when you play this game for a while, like you don't really think about that room too much, but if you're not too comfortable with it, you got the Helmas, you got the Medusa head shooting at you. You could slash a Helma and get bonked into the spikes. And then you also have the double spike room after that, which again, if you don't know the strats there, can be a little scary. So yeah, you could be right. It was just he didn't want to have to deal with it. Yeah, but you can honestly in SMZ3. SM tends to be the little bit execution heavy side, and it's really obvious when someone's the the better SM player. Even in this one, like Solski is definitely a very good SM player, but you can tell that Sloaters does have the advantage there. A lot of times it's hard to see like some of the execution advantage in A Link to the Past. But with Sloaters being relatively new to the game, you can say that Solski was just able to put up they were only 30 seconds apart when they got the Mets and they went into Link to the Past, and now the gap has widened significantly. It's closer to about six or 7 minutes here. The GT and Torrock being some of the harder dungeons in the game, so not surprising that's where we'd see Sloaters struggle a little bit. Solski finishing his Mother Brain 3 fight. Gonna be going straight up through the escape.
I think Sloaters has to be a little careful. I don't know if he has another fairy or potion.
I think he's got another fairy. I think he grabbed one in the upstairs GT. So there's also getting really bad warps. This is another difference if you're used to. Oh my god, can't stop. But yeah, warps and blue balls are not standardized or synced like they would be in a normal seed. So you can actually lose time here on Ganon warps. I think it was just a technical limitation that they just didn't have they've already shoved 2 games into this. So any additional features like that really have to be worthwhile for them to make their way in.
Alright, there's the finish from Solski.
Yeah, with time of let's see what his official SRL time is, 2:58:31. So very nice run from him. He'll be coming up here shortly.
Yeah, it was a nice sync boss kill. Each finished a game at the same time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Sloater's going to be heading into his terrain, and we are now joined by Solski at GGTU. I think we're joined by, yeah, we're joined by Solski. Are you just giving me the silent treatment? Is that what's happening, or might be working on his mic?
Oh, that might help.
There we go. We're now joined by
Yeah.
Solski. So GG, I saw you in the chat complaining about the soft lock. I think you should be thankful about the soft lock, because when are you going to get that Ganon Samaria? Otherwise,
I fell clear. SM. Oh, because I would have got grapple.
Yeah.
And then ice.
yeah, you would have.
I was playing super
Because
safe. I probably would have read that in Norfair, honestly. Like, I'm not even joking.
But yeah, I mean, the thing I would be worried about is
skipping it, right?
Not getting.
Well,
grapple.
you'd have the mitts. You'd do all the mitts locations too.
No,
Right.
honestly, dude, like, I had a good game plan for this one. I knew Sloaters was gonna like full bore SM, and this was like the perfect seed for it to start. Because it was like, hey, here's Dark World and SM. So I'm like, all right, you can do SM, I'll do Dark World, basically. And it worked out. Like, I felt like the route was great. Put off Rin Loop for the appropriate amount of time. And yeah, and then the soft lock tapped in, and then 9,000 dropped inputs. It was just really messy from there, but I just kind of grinded it out.
Well, so besides the soft lock, which I mean, you ended up full clearing the seed anyway, so maybe it doesn't make that big of a difference. The thing that was interesting to me was early. You basically, so in these, like, it's the two big things are Morphball on Dark World access, right? And generally, the game gives you one, and then you go get the other. You got both at the same exact time.
Yep.
And you decided to do A Link to the Past with that, which was a little surprising to me. You know that I mean, Sloaters is obviously very good at SM. You are also a very accomplished SM player, but it seemed to me if I was doing this and I was playing Sloaters, my thought would be to maybe defend against those plays and chase him a little bit. Maybe not do quite as early wreck ship as he would do. But it was a little surprising to me that you did so much A Link to the Past before doing any SM. So I was just wondering about the thought process there.
I mean, again, the route really did pay off. Like, I'm gonna backtrack us back to the soft lock, because if I get everything, I have to orphan Red King for the time being. I go to Bryn Loop. I take that down to X-Ray. I do Shack on the way to Norfair through the save warp, because there's a save right at the tube, and then I can just reset back to that elevator. And then I'm in go mode. I don't have to do any Norfair, Mire, Pod, the Mire checks. So yeah, honestly, I felt like the route really worked out because it just kind of funneled it in, right? And that was like the other reason why I wanted to play safe and make sure I checked like all those Meridian locations, because I had so much Link to the Past on. If I didn't have so much Link to the Past on, you're probably right. I probably would have said, you know what, let's do the mid locations, and I probably would have skipped Shack Plasma at that point, just because I would have had so much open. But I felt with like it being so closed, and I'm just like, it doesn't really open. It like opens what, Ice TR and like the mid checks, which is very like few and far between, right? So that's just kind of my thought process on that one.
Yeah, it was just like, I think like in a vacuum, you getting SM and Dark World at the same time, because you had the boots as well, so it's like, oh, I have the speed upgrade for A Link to the Past, I'll do that instead of SM, and I'll look for the speed upgrades, hopefully get those. I was just wondering if you were maybe thinking about the meta game here, specifically playing against Sloaters, and being a little worried about, because we said earlier, like, the way Sloaters upsets this one is you get a ton of a link to the past safeties, which you had, and well, mostly because you full cleared, so you're gonna have everything.
Yep.
And it's also a pretty heavy SMC, which it kind of was. Sloaters ended up getting the flips really early, but it was surprising. Like he got the flips early, but you were the first one into Swamp because he ended up skipping Thieves Town, and then he got. I think he got Gravity first. No, he got Gravity second. But
he had Varia early. And Solski
yeah, he had Varia early. He was trying to do. He did a bootsless lava dive, which was really slick, but I think he didn't quite have the amp. Like, technically could have done it, but would have been a pretty tough Ridley fight. So he ended up opting out of Lower Norfair at that moment.
They would have had to double back the last location mitts or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys got mitts within 30 seconds of each other. You were coming from different directions.
Earlier.
Yeah. The only the only reason it wasn't simultaneous is because he hadn't done Bryn Loop at all. So he did. Again, because I think his game plan was all SM all the time. He took the screw attack and did screw open. And I also did early...
yeah. So I kind of figured you did that too, and I was just like, let's put that off too. I was really happy I didn't chase the screw attack either, but I knew I had E7 on open with the what was it, the hook shot hammer, everything like that.
He got punished a little from the hook shot by not doing Sahasrah and Eastern first, so he didn't have the lamp. So when he did back of escape, he wasn't able to go through. He popped into the dark room and then kind of. Looked like he thought about it and then decided to bail and maybe just do it faster later in logic. Yeah,
but this was, like I said, it was 30 seconds at mitts. Like it was right on top of each other, and then this entire gap was you just being stronger in A Link to the Past, doing Ice, Turtle Rock, and Ganon Tower. Sloaters definitely did struggle a little bit making the GT climb.
How about shoutouts that Bari knocking me off, dude?
Yeah,
like on the track. It took me like a minute to figure out what happened. I was like, he can knock me up when I'm moving on it? Okay.
Yeah, it's you never want to slash him because if you got electrocuted, it'll knock you off. And then, but it's like if it hits you like that last just when you're getting off, you can get bodied and get thrown into the pit. So
yeah, I've like never experienced that. So I was like, rip. It's pretty good. But yeah, no, I felt like I played alright for the most part. Like I felt I played really strong up until that soft lock, and then that's when I was just like, I dropped a lot of time to Sloaters I don't want to drop.
Yeah, like this is we were definitely saying this Sloaters is the 4 seed you don't want to draw.
Yeah,
just his SM is just obviously incredible.
Yep.
And
he's definitely the better.
Well, again, it's like we said it a couple times. Like he's very good at SM, but it's like it's not like you're good at SM. You're obviously a very good player. So like, I would have expected maybe a little bit more defense in SM from you, especially early on. But it ended up working out. I mean, but full clearing it, you couldn't have felt good at that point because especially and the soft lock. Although I think...
that's why it was A, I knew I could have got to go mode faster. B, it was like I full cleared and I had this big time penalty over my head. Man, it was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I hope he's not the greatest in Link to the Past.
Yeah, no.
That's honestly what was going through my head. I was like, because I've never seen Sloaters like play SMZ3. I don't even think he's raced it before, right? So it's like. I don't really have a frame of reference of how he plays it. So
I saw him play it at GDQ a little bit, and I was like, "You play A Link to the Past?" He's like, "Not really." So,
yeah.
But yeah, Sloaters finishing with an official SRL time of 3:07:24. So GG's to him.
Yeah, that's a great time for him, honestly. Like in
that is too. We're now joined by Sloaters, GG Sloaters.
Yo, GG Solski.
Good game, dude.
So, like, I've talked to you just a little bit before this. It seemed like your game plan was going to be all SM all the time and only play A Link to the Past when it forced you to. It looks like you got off that game plan a little bit. You did do the early wreck ship play, but, like, towards the end, you did, like, Hera and Pod before... finally making the Bryn loop. So I was just kind of wondering what your thought process was there and why you, because like it almost feels like this is kind of the way I would lay out the seed to give you a chance at the upset, and it seems like maybe you got off your game plan a little bit, and so I'm just wondering about that.
Well, it's not so much I got off my game plan, it's that I'm so used to doing just the sole Super Metroid randomizer that I literally forgot about that entire section of the map. So in my mind, I'm thinking like I already went through all this, right? And like after I saw speed, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna bank on waterway, like not being anything, like still not remembering that I didn't do anything in that area yet. So like by the time I realized that, I was like, oh shoot, like I should have done this like a long time ago. And then, you know, when I found the 2 items for go mode, I was like, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah, we were sitting here yelling at you to do waterway. We're like, when is he gonna clean up waterway? Because like it was like Solski I think ended up coming out of lower Norfair just a little bit sooner than you, and then he ended up doing. You kind of did the pendant dungeons that you hadn't done. So Solski did Pod, cleaned up the Crystal and Eastern. You went up to Hera, and both of you kind of did like the fetch quests that you didn't have. So it was just like if you kind of made the decision to go back to Bryn Loop a little bit faster, it potentially could have been the difference here. But like you guys picked up mitts within 30 seconds of each other. You were literally right on top of each other,
wow.
and it was just like it was, you know, you had a little struggle in Turtle Rock and GT, but like that's the entire time difference right here between the two of you. So. It was looking close for a while. You know, we were when you picked it up. Solski had it a little bit soon, and it was like 3 dungeons. It was like Ice Palace, Turtle Rock, GT Climb, and then the only SM you had left for you to potentially game time back in was Turian. And I was like, that's not quite going to be enough to do it because we figured Solski would you know put up like 2-3 minutes on the Link to the Past, and then you're probably only going to claw back like 30 seconds maybe in Turian, if that. Because again, like it's not like Solski's. I mean, Solski's turn is pretty good too. So
Yeah.
not gonna be able to make that much time. But it was good. Like it was up in the air for the entire time. What you both came out of Norfair. We didn't know where the mitts were, and at that point, it was whoever gets them first, and you got them at the same time. So really exciting match to watch.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel pretty good about the seed, other than forgetting the whole Bryn Star loop. But like I was kind of expecting this to be closer to 4 hours to me. Like I think I've completed one of these like by myself. All the other ones I've completed I did during that 2 versus 2 tournament. So it like, you know, it's not really the same as doing one alone. So I'm almost getting like a sub 3. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, a sub 3 is when you start picking these up and you want to be competitive. Sub 3 is right around where you want to be for most seeds. It's got to be a you know pretty nice seed for you to do like 230. You gotta, you know, like this one could have maybe been if this was like a big weekly race or something with 20-30 people in it. You know, we might have seen some people finishing around like the 230 mark, just depending on when they made some of these plays. But yeah, that's a real nice time for you. You can see the difference in you actually spent more time in SM, which is a little funny. But again, with you know you making the prioritizing a little bit makes sense.
Yeah, the early dip with Screw Attack probably accounted for a lot of that. Plus, you know, Solski's first dip into SM, he had gravity suit and high jump boots and all those little quality of life items.
Yeah, I guess the other question is, so you made the bootsless lava dive, and then you did that very well. Were you planning on going to Ridley? We were kind of trying to do the ammo math. You were a little low on supers. I think you'd had to dip into your power bombs to finish off Ridley.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what the thought process was there.
Yeah, so I was planning on going to Ridley, and I knew I had enough, and I was gonna have to like double hit power bombs to do it. But I kind of decided once I like got in there that okay, if I find a super here, I'm gonna definitely go, and if I don't find a super, like I don't know, I'll probably dip. And then when I was trying to bomb jump back up there and I fell down once, I was kind of like, you know what? I don't really want to do this right now. I don't want to have like a super tight fight with having to double power bomb everything. So I'm just going to go take care of some other Link to the Past stuff. Because I think that was like right after I got the boots too. And I knew where the hammer was. So I knew there was like a lot of dungeons I was going to have to do anyways that I could start clearing out. And it kind of worked out because then I got gravity after that, so then I was able to, you know, pretty much full clear the rest of the game. So,
right. Yeah.
Ideally I would have liked to, you know, finish Ridley while I was there and then do all that stuff afterwards, but ended up not making a huge difference.
Did you consider Mire at all? I mean, you wouldn't be able to complete it, but it was a green pendant. That you could have read that as part of your, quote unquote SM advantage, because, I mean, Solski at that point had high jump, so he could have gotten that, but obviously you didn't know that. So I was just wondering if you'd considered Mire at all.
It was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time, especially when I was like stuck finding those last couple items. Like I was thinking, man, it like might be Mire. Like this might be bad. I'll have to go all the way back to Lower Norfair for this. But
I meant specifically we needed the high jump less lava dive. You considered it then?
Oh, at that time, no. I think because there's just so much other stuff I had to do in Link to the Past that I didn't really think it was an important place to go at the time.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, I was just thinking with, if you're trying to rely on your SM, that's kind of a location you get, as well. So I was just thinking maybe that was playing into your mind, but it was just definitely a coin toss, uncompletable, but is a pendant. So, and you had, I know, it's funny to watch you like skip the X-ray E-tank, and then but pick up every single heart piece you can find. It was just we were laughing about that.
Those are a lot more valuable to me than E-tank, to be honest.
Yeah. As someone who's co-op with QD, I know I need to call out every single heart piece and heart and mail that I wouldn't with a lot of other people. So it's just funny. Like, yeah, I've got 3 A-tanks. It's good enough to finish the game. I don't need that one.
Yeah, it's especially jarring for somebody like me that's much newer to SM, and I could definitely not finish this on 3 E-tanks.
Yeah, I would be a little nervous finishing it on 3 myself, to be quite honest. I usually finish it with 4. So, but yeah, it's always fun watching you play SM, and Solski obviously just, always fun to watch your routing decisions. I try to learn a little bit every single time. But GG's to both of you. Ace, do you have any other questions or?
Oh no, not at all. Just again, GG's, to both of you guys, Solski and Sloaters. It was a great race. It's a lot of fun to watch and commentate.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So if you guys don't have anything else, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I guess. So, do you guys know who else is in your division, looking ahead to the potential other matchups?
Silver Rain and Sailor Nep.
Oh, those.
Sailor Nep. Quite the powerhouse for Link to the Past. So that one will be interesting as well. I think.
Yeah, kind of the reverse Sloaters. Yeah. Sloaters there.
So if I get them, then it's basically Sloaters Part 2, except ALTTP Bugaloo. So.
Yeah, that's a rough division for you to draw, Solski. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You did, like we said a couple times. Sloaters is if you had to pick a 4 seed, not the one you want to draw, just because. If the seed gets laid out just the right way, he can easily take an upset over anyone, and I think Sloaters, you do have a decent chance of actually being able to get out of this division. You'll need to go 2-0 at this point, but with putting up this time, just a low 3, maybe with a little bit more Link to the Past practice, you might be able to take it. So, wish both of you luck in your upcoming matches.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yep, and I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. I don't think there's anything else going on after this. So, Ace, you want to close us out, because I can never do it.